Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, if you're watching on the internet, and good afternoon to everybody here in Warwick with us. And a final good afternoon to my co-commentator, Mr. Ravi Kumar. We do hope that our transmission this afternoon will be at a higher level. There's been some problem in previous days. Apparently, we've been sounding like we're commentating from a goldfish bowl, but we hope that that will be rectified this afternoon. So let's review the top four boards this afternoon. What do we have, Ravi?
Okay. First thing, this is the penultimate round of the British Chess Championship. We got one more round to go. And to start with, we have Nicholas Pert, status quo remaining at the top. He had a draw yesterday. And so did Daniel Gormali. And so they both are on the top with 7 points. And then there are 7 players half a point behind.
So it could be a very tight finish.
It's going to be a tie.
And maybe even a playoff.
There's no playoff.
No playoff. Okay.
So last year it was shared, I believe. So, you know, we could have a possibility of 3 British champions. It's so tight, and it could be like a 3-way tie. In fact, that's what is my prediction, that there is a 3-way tie at the top after tomorrow's round. And the pairings are quite interesting. Keith Arkell is on top board.
Finally got there.
Finally got there. Survived that Space Invader Endgame finally and had a draw against Howell. And then interestingly, we have the 2 Pert brothers on board 1 and 2.
So Gormali playing Richard Pert on board 2. Yes,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So there's like 2 brothers fighting for 1 title.
Yep.
So do you think actually Richard thinks I'm going to win this in the next game? Actually, it's the Pert, but it's going to be our Pert on the title. Is that what he's?
Let's hope it's not our Pert v N Pert in the last round, because that could be quite interesting for the British Championship title. And now what's next? Glenn Fleer against David Howe. That's going to be an interesting game, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Simon Williams against Jonathan Hawkins, and that's going to be a cracker of a game because these players are very uncompromising. They come very well prepared, and that's going to be there. And then we have a match that's played 20 years ago. It's happening again.
Ems v Hebden.
Ems against Hebden.
Yep.
Umpteenth time played between each other, but now they're playing in the British Championship and they are on board 4.
My predictions for these games: Arkell Pert draw. Gormali wins against Richard Pert. Fleer Howe draw. Williams wins against Hawkins. I'll put forward a bold prediction in this round. Your predictions, Ravi?
The Queen is going to come on H1.
Right, let us get on with the games. So Arkell v Pert. This could be incredibly dry in the opening.
Yeah.
I'm warning you in advance.
So D4.
This could be as dry as dust in the opening phase of the game.
So D4, NF6.
Yes.
NF3, E6.
Yes.
Competition move now.
Okay, competition move, says Ravi. He obviously thinks this is such a difficult move, nobody's going to be able to guess it. So we will offer the theory and practice of the Solkolsky opening as a prize. That should ensure nobody enters the competition. Right, okay, in which case, what did Keith Arkell play?
Okay, please don't use your tablets. Please, if you just come from the tournament hall,
You might need to take them rather than use them. If you recommend this move. Go on then. Any using of tablets or smartphones will be frowned upon. Now, this gentleman was first. Yes, sir. Why are you pointing at him? Well, you're both wrong. Yes, please.
C4.
C4, far too aggressive. Yes, please.
G3.
That's more like it, but that wasn't played. Who can guess Keith Arkell's move? We have Bishop G5, C4, and G3.
and I think the trick is that when Andy said that it's going to be a dry game, so what will a dry player play now?
Who said that? No. Yes, please. Bishop F4. That's about as dry as the Gobi Desert, that move, but it wasn't played either.
The gentleman at the back.
So it's a lady, I think.
Sorry, lady at the back, please.
Knight BD2. That could be even more dry than Bishop F4, but that wasn't played either. So clearly Keith Arkle has confounded the crowd. Hang on a minute. It's your sidekicks in the audience. Why do they want to win a book about 1B4? You're trying to corrupt them early in life. Okay, yeah. What's your move? No, far too aggressive. Yes, please. C3 is the move. The young lady plays C3. Hang on a minute. That's only part one of the equation. Why do you play C3 here, apart from the desire to win a book? Which is not under attack.
But you might follow up with developing vision and then knight d2 and d4, and it stops the bishop.
And you weren't strong enough to put the pawn on C4. That's the key. That's the key to the whole thing. Right, okay. So, let's give her the book. Round of applause. Well done. That's the best offer you'll ever get for after a move like C3. That's all I can say.
So, that C3 is like sending a message to Nick Pert. It's saying that, this is going to be very unusual. And
No, this is called the Hebden Torre, isn't it?
it's called the
Hebden Torre, if white plays a quick bishop G5.
I think that Keith Arkle plays the Caracal, whether it's white, black, red, green, or whatever color you put in front of him.
Well, here he is managing to play it with white. Okay, so C3, a local anaesthetic has been applied to Nick Pert in this game. So let's see what he comes up with. Right.
C5.
Oh, he's trying to make it interesting. Bishop G5?
Yeah, Bishop G5.
The Hebden Torre comes on the board.
Yeah, D5.
Oh dear, okay.
And then E3.
Yes.
H6, Bishop H4.
So we've got a Torre attack.
I have a feeling he's going to play G5. He's going to flick in G5.
No way.
Bishop G3 and
No. Black won't play G5. Not now, anyway. Come on. Into critical game?
So is it like a Caracal-ish type of position,
It's a mainline Torre attack, isn't it?
I mean, can I just say, if you take D into C5...
Yeah, but it's Black's move.
Yeah, but I'm saying, is he going to play D into C5, give up the bishop for the knight, and treat it in the same way he's treated all his games in the British Championship?
Get the same sort of small pawn centre. I shouldn't think so. Well, the thing is that Black in this position generally gets best results when he doesn't castle.
Yeah.
Do you remember the most famous Torre attack game? The game Spassky versus Petrosian. Do you remember this game from their World Championship match, where something like this was played and Black didn't castle? I think Petrosian
pushed all the pawns.
and then he, White made some moves on the king side. Then Petrosian castled long.
Yeah.
Remember this? So I think you'll probably see Nick Pert not castling for a while, but probably playing moves like Bishop E7 or Bishop D6, Knight C6 or Knight BD7, B6, Bishop B7, but leaving the king in the middle for a little while.
Yeah, he didn't play any of those moves. He played Knight BD7.
Okay, Knight BD7. Well, that's
and Arkle now comes in with Knight BD2, ready to take on C5.
Yeah.
And play that particular structure where he's slightly, it could look like that he's slightly behind, but that's where he loves to play that kind of position. So that's where we are in that game.
Well, I imagine Pert's going to play Bishop D6 or Bishop E7 or B6. The Torre attack is the Torre attack. It's not the most exciting opening in the world, or especially against somebody as solid as Nick Pert.
Okay.
So Gormali versus Pert.
Yeah.
Okay.
1E4.
1E4.
Meaning business, and say, I need to use this white piece, and if I win this game, and then, possibly, last game with Black, he could just aim for a draw. So anyone who scores 1.5 out of 2, and he's already got 7, has been a winning score. 8.5 to 9 has been winning score in the British, isn't it?
Yeah, it should be good enough to, be up there somewhere, if not first. So what did Pert play? I've seen him play the Dragon in recent times.
Yeah, he's gone back to French defense. You know, it must be all the work he did with his brother, where there's a lot of French being played between them.
Okay.
And now this is a full blown theoretical battle. Now
Come-
d4,
yeah.
d5,
Yes.
knight d2,
Knight d2.
knight f6,
Yes.
e5,
Yes.
knight d7.
Yeah.
All these moves have been like, you know, just played at very quick pace. So you know, you can see like they played now 10 moves.
F4 or C3 or bishop d3.
Bishop d3,
Yeah.
c5, c3,
Yeah.
knight c6, knight e2, cd4, cd4,
F6.
f6. There's a big difference here. You know, some French players like to put the queen on b6, and you know, Kochno has used to put the queen on b6 as well as the queen on c7. So there are various ideas with both of them. Queen on b6 has a different plan, like pressurizing on d4. And can I just show that one very
You may. In this
very
position.
boring line?
Queen here.
Queen b6.
Yep.
And then knight f3 is your standard move.
Yes.
In comes bishop b4 check,
Yep.
and forcing bishop d2,
Yes.
bishop into d2,
Yep.
queen
Queen
into
d2.
d2, and then queen b4. And yeah, I mean, this is the kind of chess, you know, you can thrust upon your opponent.
But it's boringly better for white, isn't it?
Yeah, boring.
I mean,
but
you
but
really
for-
have to be
yeah.
of a certain kind of mind to go into this with black.
Yeah, but this is played like with the theory. Like if you needed a draw in the last round, probably, you know, this could be a good deal to play on.
Do you think so? I think this is a horrible position for black already. I mean, why would you ever go for this? You'd have to enjoy receiving pain over 60 moves to, you know, and then you might not get your draw.
See, see,
You know, just because the queens are coming off, it doesn't mean that it's an easy draw. Or
there is
something,
no
you know.
pain because the other part has got the anesthetic, as you said. So you know, this is something, but it didn't happen in the game.
F6 is of course the main
Yeah,
line.
F6.
It's very sharp, and black's queen could come to c7 or b6. Let's see. So white can play knight f4. That's a very interesting line, or just simply take the pawn.
Yeah, take the pawn.
He took it, and then knight takes is the normal move. Queen takes has been played by Simon Williams a lot.
Yeah,
Knight takes.
knight takes f6.
Okay, very standard. Knight to f3.
Knight f3, bishop to d6.
Yeah.
Castle, queen to c7.
Right. So this is very interesting stuff now.
So what happens here is that if you play knight c3, he plays a6.
The main idea of queen c7 is that firstly, white's bishop f4 move has been taken away. I mean, just to make the point that in this line, clearly the e5 square is of some concern to black. So if you exchange off the dark square bishops as white, it's generally thought that, you know, this helps you to try and get an edge from this position. So queen c7 makes it more difficult for white to play bishop f4. But on the other hand, the queen's a little bit exposed there. So for instance, if white played knight c3, as Ravi quite rightly says, black normally plays a6 because white's threatening knight to
bishop
b5.
g5.
Yeah, and then bishop g5, but it takes quite a long time to get those
Castle.
bishops off the board. It's this,
Yeah,
isn't
bishop
it?
h4 and then knight h5.
Yeah.
There's some lines with bishop into h7.
Well, not necessarily now. Is it? Is that right? I don't think you can do it now, do you? Can you? But anyway, black, sometimes you see black playing g6 and the queen comes across to g7, bishop d7. It's a really interesting line. Having said that, there's a lot of theory on it, and well, what did white do?
No more moves.
No more moves. So there we are. He's obviously thinking about whether to play knight c3 or something else, something like bishop g5 straight away. His choice will shape how this game's going to go. So let's carry on with the rest of the games, because that's also going to be warming up nicely. Fleer versus Howe.
Yeah.
I'm sure Fleer, if he was going to play David Howe, would much prefer to play against him with white. And I presume d4, the usual. Yep.
Yeah. Knight f6.
Yep.
c4.
Yep.
e6.
Yes.
Knight f3, b6.
So Grunfelder. Howell is associated with the Grunfeld, but okay, here he sticks to the normal Queen's Indian. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And e3.
Okay.
So this is like, you know, playing very quiet system against the Queen's Indian defense, and very simply, it soon should when Black is forced to play d5, it's going to go into some kind of a quiet system against the Queen's Gambit.
Okay, so what happened next? Bishop b7?
Bishop e7.
Bishop d3?
Bishop d3.
Yeah.
d5.
Yeah.
Castle.
Okay, so that's interesting that Fleer allows White to take Black to take the pawn. Because
Yeah.
b3 is also a move here, isn't it? Just keeping the pawns.
Yeah. It comes later, and then knight bd7.
It's a bit of an old-fashioned line, this.
Yeah, knight bd7, and then b3, just very solid chess. Bishop d6, bishop b2. He's just developed very, very harmoniously. He's got the pieces on the right square. I think why did he not go into like a main line, Andy? Why is this very quiet, super solid system against Howell?
Well, I think it shows a measure of respect for David Howe, doesn't it? If he goes into something very sharp, perhaps he feels that he's going to get some of this treatment from Howe, where he uses the clock as a weapon, going down to the last second all the time in a sharp position, ramping up the tension.
Yeah.
And Fleer is, by far the older man, so why shouldn't he play something very quiet?
And
This position is all about control of e5 and e4. You may see White putting his knight in on e5 quite quickly. You might see Black putting the knight in on e4, because what have we got here? If we flip the board, hang on, it's like a reverse Colli-Zucator, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's thought to be a very solid line for Black. Black would like to play something like knight e4 and then f5.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you're going to see the knight hopping into e5.
Yeah.
So I think Fleer basically says, well, come and get me. I'm going to set up this very solid position. If it's a draw, it's a draw. Howe would like to win this game because he's chasing, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that explains the choice of openings by White, I'm sure. Any more moves?
Castle by Black.
Yep.
And then knight c3.
Right, okay. So very standard stuff. Very standard stuff. Black can play knight e4. I don't know whether he can play c5. Is there something wrong with that?
Well, I think he needs to wait here, isn't it? I mean,
the only difference between the two positions is White's got a knight on c3 and Black's got the knight on d7.
Yeah.
I imagine that favours White fractionally.
Yeah, could be like knight b5 at the right time. So Howell now played a6, taking that option out of the game.
Yep.
And he's saying, I can play c5, anytime, and I can see a queen appearing on e7, which seemed to be a good square for the queen. And this is just a different way of playing, solid chess, because penultimate round, the point position dictates what you need out of this game, and you're playing a 2700 grandmaster who's looking and who hasn't won in the last 3 rounds.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, something like that, and he's pushing and pushing himself, and what you need to do is to play something extremely solid, and say, come and get me.
Well, now White's next question is, where do I put the queen and rooks? I imagine White's queen's going to go to e2. That's the normal square in this system, and then rooks to the middle.
Yeah,
Rock solid. After queen e2, White might also be threatening e4. So you may see White playing queen e2 and then Black plonking his knight in on e4 as quickly as possible after that.
So one of the points that since he played a6, is the queen coming to e2? Is it going to stop that rook on a8 on its track?
Well, the White queen doesn't really want to be on c2 when Black can play c5, does it? Because then the c file might open up and the queen could be in the wrong place. It's a bit like that Queen's Gambit thing we were discussing yesterday.
Yeah.
Before White puts the queen on c2, he should wait for Black to move his c pawn.
So what's the additional benefit of putting on e2? Is that
I can play e4.
Yeah, you can play e4. You're also keeping an eye on the a6 pawn.
Yeah, exactly. So I imagine after that, Black, as I say, he's going to put the knight in and try and play f5, something like that, and try and get a kingside attack. It's not out of the question. For instance, what can White play? Let's say White plays rook somewhere, rook a d c1 maybe.
Yeah,
and then Black plays f5.
Yeah,
that's fairly typical.
But is e2 the best square for the queen? Maybe that he can go knight e5 f4, and then he can use the queen to f3 and h3. So maybe that's one of the reasons It's not, in this type of chess, not to commit the queen on e2 straight away.
Well, okay, then if you don't commit the queen, what other moves you got? You've got rook c1, you've got rook e1, you've got knight e2.
Yeah.
And the idea of knight e2, however silly it looks, is to put the knight in on e5 very quickly. Okay, if I was pushed of all those moves, if I'm not going to play queen e2, rook c1 must be the obvious move.
Played in the game.
Okay, there we are.
The point is that once you put the knight on c3, that knight on c3 at the moment, is kind of restrained because he can't go to b5. a4 is not an option, and that knight is possibly going to come to e2 and to g3. Quite possibly, that is one of the things. So it looks like very, very, boring chess.
Okay, knight e4, or is there another move? How bad is c5 here?
I have another alternative.
Queen e7 is also
No,
a move.
let's go to the next game.
You don't like this?
No, it's quite.
This could liven up.
Yeah, queen e7.
Have we got a move?
Yeah, queen e7.
Queen e7 was played. There we are. This could liven up.
So has he got some ambition to trade bishops on a3?
Possibly.
So black can't play e5, can he? Is that something like...
Not at the moment because it's white's move. How about queen e2?
e5.
e5. Is that playable?
Yeah.
Well, doesn't look bad. I think it's definitely playable.
Problem is, if you take on d5 with the knight, then I take with the knight, and then I take on d4.
Say I chop this off.
I have to take with the pawn.
Well, okay. So now that e5's out of the question, it just looks absolutely okay for black, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
e3 Queen's India is not thought to be one of the critical tests of the opening. I mean, perhaps this type of position shows why. Where are you going here with white?
Yeah. A couple of minutes ago, I said we're never going to see knight a4 as an option. He's put the knight on a4.
He played knight a4.
Yeah. You just can't, fathom what this grandmaster is sitting, I mean.
Okay, that's a very strange move.
Yeah. So is he threatening c5?
Let's have a look. Well,
Not really.
if he played c5, there'd be a bishop h7 check at the end and queen c2. He'd have to take on f6, wouldn't he? So he might be threatening c5. Takes, knight takes, bishop takes. He takes on f6, messing up the pawns.
All right.
Then bishop h7 check and queen c2 check and queen c5. So he is threatening c5.
All right. Can I play knight e4 here, please?
Knight e4, yeah, you can play it.
Yeah. And my point is that I'm covering c5 square. I'm also hoping that if
It could be rather dull, this position. It's quite a strong knight.
what's the knight doing on a4? I mean that like
Threatening c5. But
I mean,
as you've shown, he could easily stop it.
yeah. But if
Well, I think the best move is now to put this knight in on e5, which renews the threat, doesn't it, of knight takes knight and c5 or c5. Only one member of the audience is falling asleep at this point. That's almost a record for the British Championship commentary. Usually in the front row. Just move forward, Stuart. Move forward.
yeah.
Normally the guy nodding off is in
I-
the front row.
All right, can I try something here? Can I chop off the knight with the bishop,
You little devil. Okay, I recapture.
and then I chop off c4? And the point is,
Chop off c4.
you can't capture with.
I chop off e4.
Yeah, but who's better here?
I am. I'm going to involve you in what we call a fork. Ever heard of that?
Bishop into e4,
And now comes the fork.
and then bishop d5.
And then I take this off.
And then Queen G5.
Okay.
He's under pressure.
Under pressure, what are you on about? E4. Who's under pressure? You're under pressure.
Bishop in D4, he's going to play F3.
F3, yeah, you got 2 pieces attacked. Of course, that was a lucky stroke, but you know, these things happen. I didn't see any of his moves as usual. The chances of this happening are about 1,000,000 to 1. So let's go.
So
back.
what are you playing for Queen E3 check? Or are you playing King H1 just simply?
Is there some issue with that?
BD3.
Okay, but now you're fishing, aren't you? Because I get 2 pieces for the rook. Right, let's go back. Let's go back. That's not going to happen. I can also play rook E1, can't I? Yeah, and then probably win all your pieces.
Yep.
That's never been a problem in the past with the members
So
of this
knight
commentary
A4,
team.
and he's
So knight A4 and Hal's thinking. Right, okay, let's move on to the next game. Quickly, moving quickly on to what could be the blockbuster of the round, Williams versus Hawkins. Okay, so we expect something really wild and woolly from Simon Williams.
and he goes D4.
Okay, pretty solid.
And then D5.
D5?
Yeah, and
Hawkins
the point we
stonewalling
need-
with the Queen's
yeah.
Gambit declined.
Yeah, and the point I need to make is that now Hawkins is playing black twice in a row, and that could be a disadvantage. You know, if you're chasing something to retain your title, on the 9th and the 10th round, if you are playing black, that is quite a difficult thing to handle. You know?
Very hard. Okay, C4?
No, Bishop F4, cold water on the board.
Bishop F4. God, this is going to be... All these guys are going solid at the end of the tournament, aren't they? We've got Hebden Torre and we've got a London system.
Bishop,
Okay.
Knight F6,
Yes.
E3,
Yes.
C5,
C3.
Knight C3.
Knight C3. Ah. Wasn't there a guy called Yabava who was playing this recently?
Yeah, Jabava was playing.
Yabava, yeah, this sort of thing.
He's from Georgia, and he needs to try all kind of things. And CD4, ED4, A6. So this looks like I mean, could you get this from a Caracon? Like he played E4, C6, D4, D5.
You couldn't really get this from a Caracan unless you could play the exchange variation, but then you play Knight C3.
Yeah.
Because this knight on C3 looks a little bit out of place, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then White played Knight F3, and Black
Yep.
played Knight C6,
Yep.
and White played H3, stopping the bishop.
Well, it doesn't stop the bishop really, does it? Bishop F5. This could be an incredibly boring game.
Well, he played G6. He didn't. Play
Okay,
Bishop
so he's
F5.
trying to spice it up a little bit. I was
Also-
thinking of lines where Black plays Bishop F5 and White plays Bishop D3, and then Black takes it off and goes E6 and plays
Can't I
Bishop
go
D6.
G4 and actually challenge you a little bit more?
G4. What justification have you got for that?
Not now. A couple of months ago, when your bishop's on F5.
G4.
G4. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah,
Don't believe it.
where are you going with the bishop? And I've gained an extra space there.
Okay, I come in.
He's not afraid, you see.
Not afraid of anything.
Yeah, and bishop D2, you just let the bishop on E4, or
Bishop G2.
yeah, Queen B6 or something like that.
Yeah, why not? Okay, so what we've got here after 5 moves is some sort of, well, I don't know, it's unknown opening, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not quite the London system as we know it. And Black's responded also slightly irregularly. But as far as any White advantage goes, I mean, White's got to prove it.
Yeah,
I don't think White can. That knight on C3 is misplaced
yeah, and I think,
already.
I think your move Bishop F5 and Bishop E4 is quite okay, but I think that Hawkins just want to keep a bit more options. Is he the higher rated player here in this match?
Oh yeah, by a long way, because Simon Williams' ratings dropped off because he's playing all this strange stuff. You know, he likes to play all this wild attacking chess. Well, you know, occasionally that's going to come a cropper against really strong players. So he doesn't seem to mind.
So h3 g6.
That makes him a dangerous opponent. He can beat one of the best players in the world. Didn't he beat Gelfand
Yeah.
in some club match, European Club Championship game?
He's beaten
He can beat anybody. But of course, he can lose to anybody. I mean, he doesn't... Normally, when a strong player, Grandmaster, plays a weaker player, like somebody graded 200 or something, they play rock-solid chess to try and grind it out. He just goes for it in the normal style. And, of course, you can lose to them if you do that. Especially these days. So that's how his ratings drop down. I don't think there's much to choose between them. They're just players of a different style. Hawkins is much more solid and he's more likely to win tournaments than Simon Williams. But when Simon Williams gets on a roll, he could run through anybody. So I'm just wondering whether this is the type of position where we're going to see him showing his strengths. Because, frankly, White's play in the opening looks totally insipid to me.
Yeah. So black played g6, which is quite solid way to start the game.
Yeah.
Bishop e2.
Yeah, I mean...
Bishop g7.
Yeah.
Castle. And I think although, you know, he started now in a very normal way, just developing pieces, and I think he's just gonna, you know, try something like he suddenly, you know, his attacking instincts kick in, and then he's gonna try some kind of madcap attack against the Fiat Bishop. You know, what is in store.
I just don't think White's position is geared up for any sort of madcap attack at all.
No, I was looking like
not for the next 4 or 5 hours at least. You know.
I thought you were gonna say the next millennium.
Well, possibly. Is it a barrier attack? I suppose that's the closest opening one could compare it to.
But isn't in the barrier attack you leave the rook on h1 and then you go h4. So
well, what's wrong with Black's position? Nothing. I mean, possibly he's got a few holes here on the queen side, but White would much rather have a pawn on c4 or something like that. Then he could open up the game using pawns. With that pawn on c2, it's more difficult. I've seen Hebden win successfully from these positions. You know, we could see the knight coming to a4 again. Something like this. But then I suppose Black plays knight e4. I think White's got it all to do in this position to try and make something of this situation, because frankly I think Black's just equalised very easily already. Which of course Hawkins will be delighted about. You'd normally be expecting a much rougher ride against somebody like Williams than what we got here. So Arkle versus Pert, back to the Torre attack. Knight bd2 was the last move.
yeah, bishop d6.
Okay, this was Alekine's recipe against the Torre attack. Queen comes to c7, b6, bishop b7,
Yeah.
and then you can choose where you want to castle. White runs out of useful moves. White's useful moves are being eroded away here. His next useful move is bishop d3. Did he play that?
Yeah, he played bishop d3.
Yeah, and then if Black plays queen c7, you're kind of out of useful moves.
Yeah.
That's the idea. Alekine developed this way of playing, h6, bishop d6, you know, 100 years ago maybe, or however long it was.
Yeah.
And it's difficult for White to get any advantage.
He hasn't met Keith Arkle because he's got his Hoover on, and
Hoover out.
he's gonna play the structure no matter what happens. So, you know, for queen c7, bishop g3.
What? Okay, but that's nothing, is it? I mean, can I go e5 even?
Yeah, you could e5, yeah, and then you know this is typical Keith Arkle stuff, isn't it?
So what happened then?
So
Nick
he
Pert
played
castles?
he played castle,
Yep,
and then he played b6 as you suggested,
yep.
and now Keith is happy to now come and trade the bishops off.
Well, you see, this is another one of those that really it could be incredibly dull, couldn't it? Because the Torre attack is like a lot of queen's pawn systems. White wants to put the knight in on e5 and go f4.
So,
But the problem with that is that he can't put the knight in on e5, number one. Number two, the bishop's misplaced for all that stuff.
am I looking at this structure? I mean, if you play queen c7, and then I exchange the bishop on d6, if you played queen c7 now as part of your line,
I'm not sure. I think I want to take this bishop.
h2 to d3.
Yeah, but that's not a great pawn structure for white, is it? Bishop b7. I mean, the knight e5 is nothing now. There's no attack there, is there? With that pawn, with pawns as they are. So, I mean, you're probably going to get something like queen e2, interminable boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, like...
It would suit Pert much more than it suits Arkle, because Pert's a half a point ahead. He's got the black pieces against a very dangerous opponent. Make an easy draw, move on to the last round.
Yeah.
Always keeping an eye on the game, Gormali's game. I mean, Gormali must be very pleased to see this on the adjacent board. Oh, Keith anaesthetising Nick Pert. Great stuff. I can take the lead here. That's what he's thinking.
It's not happening here. Agree to a draw now.
You're joking. Gormali agreed to a draw?
Yep.
What's this? Draw your way to the championship or something? Also, the games this afternoon, this is the least likely to get to a draw. How ridiculous. So how did it go?
We had until bishop d6.
Yeah.
And then he played...
Castle's queen c7.
Castle, queen c7.
Yeah.
Bishop g5 castle.
Yeah.
And the boring move queen c2, stopping that knight h5 maneuver.
And then offering a draw.
Offering a draw.
Right. I think it's time to move on, don't you? To another game.
So what is now Nick Pert thinking now that his brother has...
Let this game be expunged from the records. And we move on to Ems versus Hebden without further ado. Right, where is that game? I'm going to get rid of it. Goodbye. No. Right. That's
no errors at all.
no errors whatsoever. No. Okay.
Do you want to?
Ems Hebden. Let's move on. What have we got here? So a completely new game. All quick draws have been expunged.
E4.
E4, yes.
We can expect an E5.
E5, yeah. Some Spanish coming up.
Yeah, and D4 is King's Indian all the time. Even if you wake him in the middle of the night, he's going to play knight f6 as first move against D4. And E4, he always plays this. So E5.
Yeah.
Knight f3.
Yes.
Knight c6.
Yeah.
Bishop b5.
Yes.
A6.
And John Ems plays the slow version of the Spanish with D3, doesn't he?
Yeah.
C3 and D3. Go on then.
Bishop a4.
Yes.
Knight f6.
Yeah.
Castle.
Yeah. Oops, not King f1. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Yep.
Bishop e7.
Yes.
And
Rook
now the
E1.
slow burner with d3.
Okay. Taking away the martial. Taking away the open Spanish. Taking away all sorts of variations.
Okay.
Let's carry on then. B5?
Yeah, d6.
D3, D6.
Yeah.
Okay.
c3 castles.
Yep.
Rook e1 b5.
Yep.
Bishop c2 h6.
Can you go back? Seems to me a little strange that you wouldn't play e5 before you played c3.
You mean you have to play it here?
Want to come back to bishop c2. And you had that opportunity.
Well, right here, he could have played B,
Yes, there's
B5
no
now.
advantage to it, is there?
Disadvantage? Can't see any.
I would imagine like some idea of what they ate for or not.
What you mean in this position?
I don't know much about it.
Well, the thing is, Stuart, White's played D3, so the fact that he's gained an insignificant move is kind of a little bit meaningless.
So back to
It's
the
just
game.
a very quiet position. So
Yeah.
H6,
H6,
knight BD2.
knight BD2.
Yeah.
Competition mode time.
Right, it's time for a competition. Yep, okay. So let's see, what can we offer for this wonderful move? I'm going to try and get rid of St. Louis 2005. Okay? If you like weightlifting, this is your book. So, in order to win it, and to strengthen your arm muscles, what was Hebden's next move? If you get this, if the person nearest the door gets this, I'll be very suspicious. If you've seen it played in the tournament hall,
This young lady has not.
don't vote. Right, first of all, the young lady in the front. Speak up, I can't hear you. Queen D7, I'm really sorry, it was not. Yes, sir.
Excellent, went out for a
Nobody should win a prize who went out for a cigarette.
He could well have done at this point. He could well have done. Yes, please.
Bishop G4.
Well, again, perfectly sensible move. There are lots of moves for black. Yes, please.
97.
Knight D7, making room for the F pawn to start a quick hack against Ems's king. No. Yes, please.
Not yet.
Knight B8. Breyer-like. Nope.
B4.
No.
I'll try
Nope.
B5.
No.
1987.
Eh?
1987.
Well, that is correct. Hang on a minute before the applause. Why did you play it?
Well,
You think that's the most obvious move in the position?
well, to me-
Surely that's more natural.
1987 might be something I'd play. In 1987, perhaps looking at G5, black square inside.
F5.
Possibly turning F5 at a later stage.
Yes.
So it's just basically signaling intention that I want to be exactly on the inside and try to play that way.
I think that's a very good explanation. Give him a round of applause there. Pass, will you mind passing the book back? Take care not to injure yourself. Don't throw that in anybody, please. Could do some very serious damage. That book weighs a ton. I think that was the ECF Book of the Year back in 2005 or 6.
Pound for pound, it was.
No?
Pound for pound.
It's actually an extremely good book if you like heavy top flight games. So, Knight H7. For all the reasons the gentleman explained, that is an interesting move. I suppose Knight G5 is on the cards, and maybe F5. I mean, that looks loose, doesn't it? It looks loose, but
No,
well, he could play it.
yeah, I think he's kind of planning knight g5 and then followed by f5. So white has to take something he can no longer, put it on the slow burner. I mean, he's got to take the center, and white played d4, and then an action in the wing has to be countered in action in center.
Well, what's the stop? I can play Knight G5 now, yes?
Yeah, knight g5. I'm thinking.
Was that played?
Not played. I mean, knight g5. I'm thinking I'll just chop off, and then bishop g5, and then knight f3. Who were the
Oh,
bishop?
but this
of the
is
book?
just really boring, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this for black? Nothing at all.
No.
In the Spanish, white keeps the pieces on generally, and then builds up to a slow kingside attack. Here, this is just mass liquidation, isn't it?
Yep.
Of the minor pieces. What do you take back with him? Bishop G4 is my next move. Must be very comfortable for black.
Yeah, I think.
Actually, this is quite an interesting manoeuvre to bear in mind. So, is there anything better after Knight G5? We missed something.
So after d4 was played, Hebden went bishop d7.
Okay, I don't get this stuff. It's weird play. How does that tie in with his last move? What's wrong with that, first of all?
Well, he doesn't want to draw.
Well, then I don't understand the move Knight H7. I mean, you could play Rook E8 and Bishop F8. That's like a Smyslov system against the closed Spanish, isn't it?
Yeah, but you see, in this match, Hebden has 6 points against John M's 6.5, and so he's trying something.
What's he trying to do? Dazzle him with science or something?
Yeah.
It's Knight H7 and Bishop D7.
Or,
It seems a very curious mix of ideas, does it?
or boost John M's to the 7.5 and tie play for the championship title. Anything
Okay,
can happen.
I must admit I'm completely confused with what Black is trying to do. I've never seen those moves. Let's see. I can use my use the power of this computer. No games found.
There's no power with the computer. You see. No, I think I mean, like he is he's kind of is he going to now improve bishop to f6? He's going to put the bishop on the f6, then get the knight to e7 and then to g6. Is this some kind of a plan?
Well, knight a7 has been played in, as you can see, 10 games.
Yeah, d4.
And black, the strongest player to have played it, was a 2400. Results have been okay, nearly 50%. And white's winning the games at lower levels, really. And curiously, not a single person well, one person played d4, and then the other guy went knight g5. This is a completely new move.
Okay. The sign up there saying that there will be a playoff. I've confirmed it with David Welsh. We didn't have a playoff for the last 2 years because they couldn't for some reason, but there is going to be a playoff.
If necessary.
If necessary, obviously,
Yeah.
Is the playoff tomorrow or it's going to happen on
Well,
Saturday?
It's going to be afternoon, players are starting at 9:30. The phone off to the 9:30. After that, if you're playing, there will be a playoff.
Right, well, let's hope they don't get 6 players playing off. Otherwise, they're going to be here for most of the weekend. Right, okay, so d4, bishop d7. Johnny Ems must be very pleased to see these moves. Anybody understand what Hebden's doing here? I mean, there's some pretty strong players in the audience. Does anybody understand how he's...
If Black had gone bishop d7 instead of knight h7, white would have gone d4, and no one would suggest knight h7 next.
They wouldn't.
One guy got it this time, but no one would have gone knight h7 next time.
And not only that, he managed to explain it, which was even more impressive.
I wouldn't be thinking about bishop d7.
No, you'd think knight g5. It's the obvious move, isn't it? You know. And that doesn't look like a bad move. I mean, if I turn on my engine, which is quite powerful as it turns out, white struggles to get anything. I mean, if d5 slight advantage to white, it means nothing, does it? Because it's blocked centre and so on. Bishop d7 seems to think black could do anything in this position and still have an equal game. You know, Ruy Lopez is rubbish. Never play it. Never play it. It's too easy for black to get equality. Okay, bishop d7. So what happened next?
No more moves.
No more moves. So Ems is thinking, well, is there anything wrong with the standard knight f1? What moves are on the table for white? Knight f1, a4,
Yeah.
d5.
I'm thinking that black is now going to put the bishop on f6, reroute this knight to e7 and to g6.
Well,
yeah.
I'm going to stop you straight away then. I think that's the best move. Now you've got to put your knight on a very silly square. Perhaps you go even a7. That would be fantastic. What would
it's not without its merits, you know. I was going to go
what
to
would
g6.
Kasparov say? One
I'm gonna
knight
play
on rook
knight
2.
c8, bishop f6, knight e7, and he can't stop my knight coming to g6.
Both knights on rook 2. That is an abomination, isn't it? Okay. Right, okay, d5. It must be the best move. Because it stops your plan, doesn't it? Where does he go? Knight b8, then the bishop on d7 looks crazy. Knight a5. That almost looks as silly as knight a7 in this position. I think d5's got to be the right move.
Well, d5, knight a7.
You're really suggesting that? You can't be serious.
No, I have a plan.
Is that to lose as quickly as possible?
No, I have a plan to get my knight to g6, which is what I plan now.
Knight to g6?
Yeah.
That's a pretty deep plan. Which knight, by the way?
Well, if you,
Are you planning to put this knight on g6?
if possible.
How the hell does it get there? 1, 2, 3. There's 4 moves away at least.
Yeah. But I think if you play knight f1 and knight g3 and knight h5,
Yeah, yeah.
that looks quite
Silly.
yeah. But if I put my knight on a5, you know, then I go to b7, then I'm not doing anything with my knight there. So you know, quite possibly, you know, white has to push d5, put the knight away, and then get knight f1, knight g3, which is part of his you know, usual build-up.
Right, we'll have a guess the next move competition here, and we'll offer French advance and other lines for the winner. All you have to do is to predict Ems's next move, reserve a move, and then call it out and so on. Who wants to reserve various moves? Or perhaps nobody wants this book.
I want it.
Well, guess the move then. Come on, I'll give you a head start with d5. Say D5 and you're on the winning track.
Okay, D5.
That's a very sensible decision. He hasn't moved yet. Right, you've reserved D5. What else? Anybody else want to reserve any moves? You could be the only person to enter this competition. Knight? No, it's White's move. Sorry.
The gentleman is so much,
He's
interested.
entranced by the manoeuvres of the knights. Yes, please. Knight F1, another key Ruy Lopez move. Yes, very good. Yes, please. No, you've won a book this afternoon. No libraries allowed. Yes, please. A4. Okay, very good. A4, yes. Still no move played. A4, Knight F1, D5 so far. Key Spanish moves, all of them. No, Knight H4, that will be removed in the flash of an eye. H3. All right, H3, very good. Anybody else want to enter? Yes, please. King H1.
I suggested that as
I have a proxy vote. I have a proxy vote from the gentleman, and it's H4.
Oh, that's the chap over there, isn't it? Yeah.
Proxy vote. Oh, he's in person.
Anybody else, or is that it? C4. No, that won't happen, but good guess.
B3.
B3, yeah, that's sensible, getting the queenside pieces out.
Queen
And Queen E2 from Stuart Reuben.
Yes.
Okay,
Developing your pieces.
getting the pieces out. Right, okay, we're closing the competition now because we've exhausted the stock of sensible moves.
Can I add one more, please?
You think there's another move here?
Yeah.
This is going to be a joke, or what?
No, Bishop D3.
Bishop D3. Okay. Planning A4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, we await his move. I forecast D5. I think you're onto a winner there. Right, Arkle v Pert. Bishop G3. The local anaesthetic continues. It could be a general anaesthetic in a minute when the hands come out. Come on then, keep going.
So Bishop into G3, as you predicted.
Yeah, didn't take much
H
imagination.
into G3.
Yeah,
Bishop B7.
yeah.
Queen E2. Marking,
Look, I forecast all these moves.
yeah,
you know,
marking time.
This is Grandmaster draw number 306. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah. Queen E2.
Queen C7.
Queen C7.
Yeah,
And no more moves.
yeah. This get the draw for in fast. Okay, so obviously White could draw virtually immediately by playing E4,
Yeah.
and there's going to be,
Oh, I don't like E4 because then I can play.
Who put that fan on? Oh right, could you turn it off, please? Thanks very much.
Is there too much heat for the?
It just makes too much noise here on the commentary. Okay, well, if you wouldn't mind, it's all right. Better without. Thanks very much indeed.
So we're not fan of this position either for White or Black. So that's 4 pounds. 4 pounds not there. Okay. Carry on. Right. Okay. this
Well,
is-
okay. What are the alternatives apart from E4?
Can
I'm
I-
thinking, how do I play for a win for White with this position? A4,
no, I mean, can I just tell you what's in Keith Arkle's mind now? He's just going to put rook
the
on
draw
B.
offer.
Yeah.
That's what's in his mind.
No, it's not the draw offer. E5, he wants Black to play E5, and then he can go into this, defensive huddle and then play on and on and on.
Come on, this is absolutely nothing.
So
for
what are you
White.
going to play if I played Rook FD1 and mark time?
Rook FD1.
Yeah.
Even for you, that's a really boring move. I'll play E5. Just walk straight into your.
Yeah, this is what Keith Arkle wants.
Okay, that's what he
Who-
wants.
who are
Show me why he wants it.
Yeah, who are the pawn?
Okay,
And chop off with the knight.
this is
And
exciting.
then Bishop A6, chop off.
Are you?
And then play on and on. I mean, this is what Keith Arkle has been, you will be playing into his plans if you played E5. He wants you to play E5 so that he can get this idol and then he can play on and on. I mean, he's quite happy to,
Well, I'll take it.
Queen A6. Is he going to formate?
Rook E8.
Knight 3.
Okay, I just have to be sane and normal here. Not take my queen too far away from the pawns. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he's going to play rook d3, and he's going to keep this.
you're
keep-
not seriously playing this position on for a win, are you?
Yeah, I'm not playing for win. I'm playing to make
Where
sure
black's
my
slightly
opponent
better.
misses the
Black's
dinner.
slightly better here.
Yeah, slightly better, but I mean, this is what Keith Arkell, would love to do. This one, isn't it? He'll play on and on in a position until you make the first mistake.
Never.
So I mean, like, so you said e5 as one possible thing. So I think this is his style. So let's see what's our black's option. He's not going to play cd4.
Well, black's planning to play e5. That's absolutely clear, isn't it? No matter what you say, whatever glowing tribute you put forward about Keith Arkell's technique, black will play e5 if he can. That's absolutely stunned the crowd into silence, or perhaps they're all asleep looking at this impending e4 move.
Yeah. So, what are black's options? If he doesn't play e5.
Yeah, but that's good. That's the point of the system.
Yeah, you need one option. It's a good option.
Yeah, I'll take the good option. What? The only way to stop e5 is for white to play e4.
Well, then
There's going to be mass liquidations and a very fast handshake. This pawn structure is kind of stopping white from doing anything at all in the normal queenside queen's pawn systems. Knight e5 and f4, you can't do it here.
So you're saying he should play e4?
I'm saying this is going to be as dull as ditch water.
Yeah.
Unless something extraordinary occurs.
So e4.
E4.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll spice it up a bit, right? Let's
Yeah.
whip it off. Come on, here we go.
Yeah. No, I want. Yeah. Take that first. Yeah, and then take on d4
I
first.
haven't taken anything yet. Just a second. Shall I take that?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking.
Okay.
I thought you were playing e4.
Well, no. What do you do here?
Yeah.
With white, it's nothing, is it?
Yeah, white couldn't play e4. That's the point that I said. That's why he's got to play rook of d1 and wait. And because of this, there can be some very slight things. So he can't play e4. He got to wait for black to play e5.
Right. This is the position in the game.
Yeah.
Let's move on. We expect. If I was Arkell, if I was playing flat out for a win. Well, if you're playing chess, then you've got to play e4. That's it. That must be the best move. Let's confirm this by turning on the computer, which will, of course, make me look a complete fool.
Okay.
It likes black. White's fiddling around with silly moves there. What happens if e4? What's wrong with that? Doesn't like that. Doesn't like c takes d4. And then knight takes d4. And then knight c5. Fair enough. All right, so there we are. That's how it is at the moment, and we'll move on. So now to Fleer versus Howe. Again, this wasn't setting the Thames on fire, was it? So knight a4. What did he do?
Rook a d8.
Rook a d8.
And saying that you can play c5 if you wish.
Right. Well, first of all, let me give it a try then. What is
Thanks.
wrong with it?
You're losing a pawn.
I'm not losing a pawn. I'm not
I got
losing
the
a
knight,
pawn.
the bishop, and the queen.
Yes, then bishop f6 and bishop h7 and queen c2, winning the pawn back.
So pawn takes c5.
Yes.
I think you should show that to variation. It's quite long for most of the
No, but this is a very knowledgeable audience. Never underestimate the power of the audience, especially when the cabbages are coming in the wrong direction. So, what do you do then? You've got to take the pawn, right?
Yeah, I got to take it with the knight.
Okay, so I take it.
And then bishop takes.
Yeah, then I take that.
Pawn takes.
Yeah, then I take this.
King
I
takes.
can also play queen c2, by the way.
Well, queen c2 doesn't do much. Bishop d6.
Then I take on h7.
King
But I
H7.
think I prefer to take on h7
Yeah,
first.
you need to take on h7, and then I play king g7.
Okay.
Okay, but I don't think this is what you want out of this position. That's why I didn't play c5.
I think probably there, bishop b1.
Rook h8. Who's attacking who?
And with what? Knight d4.
Well, he's threatening queen g4 check. I need to stop it. If we play
There maybe.
no, f5, f5. No, f5. Let me go after your king. This is not, bishop f5 and then
Doesn't stop.
queen h4.
Doesn't stop recombination.
Okay, he's found a way to. This is quite
Found a
dangerous.
way to escape.
Yeah, bishop d6. You know, you're walking quite dangerous territory, sir.
Swap the queens off in a minute. How do we do that?
Queen g4.
I just
check.
don't get what you're saying here. I think this is okay, right? Anyway, it will certainly make an interesting game. So he has allowed white to play c5.
Yeah, but I think he must have felt that.
So that could happen.
Yeah, bishop h7 check. He must have felt either king h8, and he must have felt that bishop.
So let's just have a look at this in
Yeah.
slow motion once again. Here,
And then you played bishop f6.
I've just got a feeling there should be some combination here.
I think he must have looked at bishop h7 and then king h8, and he must have looked at that position, being black having bishop pair, and So can I just improve my game by putting the king on h8 rather than g7?
I'm pretty sure David probably intends king g7 if he gets to that position.
But then I can't play f5. You see.
Yeah, but I think the others just
So bishop f6, pawn f6, bishop h7 check, king h8, king h8, and
Well, first of all, what's the score on this variation? Is that what's the score here? Is this
better for black.
well equal? Yeah. Better for black equal. Anyway, it's not better for white. So should he play c5? Not according to the
Queen C2 here.
not according to the machine.
He tried Queen C2. Then he's threatening C5.
Queen c2. Then you might run into pawn takes pawn and bishop takes f3. I don't know how good that is. No, Glenn put his knight on a4 in order to play c5, and basically Hal said, "Well, you can do it." Queen e2, then I think black is going to plonk his knight in here.
No. Queen e2 played in the game, and he played d into c4, which is a critical pawn.
Queen e2 because this pawn might be hanging.
Yeah, that's
So
why
he takes this,
take on c4, pawn takes c4.
then he's going to go e5, isn't it?
And
No.
no, he played knight e4, allowing c5. There's no more c5. So I think that black is going to play f5, and black. What is the knight doing on a4? It's lost its purpose. It has lost its purpose. Knight on a4. Principal plan was to play c5. Now that's taken out of the equation. What is the knight doing on a4? And I've never seen Glenn Flair plays super solid chess. Here, the knight on a4 is kind of possessed. It's gone to the edge of the board, and probably white is going to face some.
Well, I can always get it back into the game. I could just move it back.
Yeah, f5 now. That's a problem.
Well, is that a problem?
Yeah, it's a problem. You've given me a lot of tempo.
I see.
What about C5? He said he couldn't play. He can play with the knight on A4.
c5 now.
Yeah.
Pawn takes c5.
Well, he can actually play it because a6 is hanging, isn't it?
Yeah, pawn takes c5.
Then I take on a6.
Yeah, bishop a8. You don't want this structure.
Well, I think that's better for white. Best thing we've seen for white so far. Come and take this pawn.
Yeah, but what about bishop a8 now?
You say that as if it's some sort of brilliant move.
Well, I don't want to exchange the bishop, and I
You're
want.
just retiring to the corner.
Yeah, I'm retiring to the corner, but I'm thinking that I can go after your king.
Very bad C7.
Bishop d5 on bishop
Well, then we can play knight c3 and swap some pieces.
He
But
could
he's-
also have played bishop takes A6, queen takes rook A8.
I mean, I think that's the most likely, actually, because it makes sense of the knight on a4.
Yeah.
If these bishops, white square bishops, are exchanged, there's no kingside attack for you.
Now, someone suggested that if you played c5, They will take once on
And
c5.
then I take on a6.
a6, take on a6.
Yes.
Queen a6, and then rook a8. You're
Am I dropping a piece?
uh,
No, I'm not. Come back and I'll attack this. Oh, then he takes this, and takes that.
yep. You have queen c4.
Yeah, I do have queen c4. That's true.
As far as my notes.
Well, I'm sure this is what Glenn's thinking about.
Yeah, but oh, hang on. What if I played rook fb8, threatening rook a4 and rook b2? I don't think your trouble is going to stop here, is it?
But I've probably got to take this now.
Yeah. Then knight d to c5. You give no knight d to c5, please. Thank you.
Okay, I take it.
Yeah, and then knight c5, and then
Yeah, but this might not be too bad. Bishop to
Yeah,
bishop. But let's have a think. Where should we put the bishop? We can put it here or here. Well, I mean, if I want to draw, let's say I play this. Okay, I think he will play c5, but he may not. So this is the position in the game.
94 and
now let's see who's won the competition between Ems and Hebden. Any more moves?
no more
No
moves.
more moves. Nobody's won it yet. So clearly trying to judge which is the best of these alternatives is an interesting one. Right, which brings us actually to the online competition for this afternoon, which is available to all those watching online. What you do if you've got the answer is to go to the English Chess Federation forum and put your answer down. Right, okay, so this is quite an easy one, I think. Who was the youngest ever British chess champion and where did he win the title? The youngest ever British chess champion and where did he win the title? So if you know the answer to that question or questions, go to the English Chess Forum and put your answer there, please. Thank you, and the winner will be notified in due course. So no moves in Ems versus Hebden. Williams Hawkins.
Yeah, there's one more move now. We have a winner, I think.
Yeah, we've got a winner in Ems versus Hebden, and he played
h3.
H3. Right, who was it? Congratulations, sir. A round of applause there. Excellent. I'm trying to give this away all week. Finally, we found a way. Congratulations. May you learn from that book.
So what was the motivation behind h3? The gentleman, would he have to explain why did he play h3?
Not what's up in that long. Well, first of all, he can't develop the bishop. Can he develop? It's one of them.
If say H2.
Prophylactic move.
Prophylactic against what?
Anyway, I've got a book.
That's it. That's justification enough for playing it, in my view. Well done.
It does give one the option of playing if the knight sometimes and the force is away and the knight got that same.
Yes, it could do. It could do. It could do. And it's a standard Ruy Lopez move, isn't it? As were all the other suggestions. Right, so has Hebden replied? He normally motors along in the opening, Hebden.
No, he hasn't replied for h3.
Hasn't replied. All right, so we got that one. Okay, Williams Hawkins. Williams Hawkins. Yes, please.
Williams Hawkins. Here we go, sir. So we left this position and move number.
I think both sides are castled.
Both
Move
sides
9.
castle, and then white played knight e5,
Knight e5.
queen b6,
Yep.
knight takes c6,
Yes.
pawn takes c6,
Yes.
knight a4,
Yes.
another knight a4 on the top boards.
Now, this definitely is transposition into some sort of barrier attack, isn't it? I'm sure I've seen Hebden play like this with white.
Queen a7,
Yep. Trying
bishop
to
e5,
fix this square. Bishop where? F5.
bishop e5, knight e4, bishop,
Queen e7, bishop e5.
right,
Yes.
knight e4,
Yes.
swap off the bishops,
Yeah.
and now c3. Is white slightly better now? Can I now try to hoover the knight off with the bishop and then put my knight on c5?
Yep. You can do. You can certainly do that.
So is Simon Williams now definitely slightly better? So black went a5 to kind of stop that. If you played bishop d3, he might go bishop a6.
Maybe bishop a6 to b5.
Yep.
That
So
looks
he's played
possible.
a5 very quickly, and that's just going on in that fashion now.
Well, the only way that he's going to get the knight to c5 is to play f3, isn't it?
Well, f3, I think.
But that's an ugly move.
Yeah.
Very ugly.
So
Then he goes bishop a6. I think we're going to put
Well,
a rook e1. Maybe this is the way. Maybe
Knight
this is
g5.
Knight g5. That's the problem.
knight c5.
Knight c5.
You want to get rid of your bishop.
Well, this is the best that white can do to get that knight on c5,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Can I play rook a b8 now?
I mean, it might be quite nice for white, that. So, okay, bishop f3. Because bishop d3 is answered by bishop a6.
Yeah.
Which is relatively comfortable. I think if the knights were on the board, black could pretty easily cope with the knight on c5. You could just exchange it off at some point.
But bishop f3 is what you're suggesting.
Well, somebody, I didn't suggest it, but somebody did.
Yeah,
so, what about that?
Knight g5.
Looks like I have to keep the knight. So what if I just put my knight back on f6 with the plan of e6 and knight d7? Rook e1, can you do
Rook
better
E1,
than that?
yeah,
e6.
Yeah.
Queen d2, maybe?
Queen d2, yeah.
Okay, then I probably play knight back immediately, or bishop a6.
No,
Let's
knight.
put the bishop out.
Let's do queen f4.
Queen f4. What are you doing here though?
I
h4
want to
maybe.
come to d6.
Yeah, there might be some kingside attack here. So let's improve the queen.
Yeah, you're going to play this endgame.
White's working with very little, you know.
Yeah.
White's working with very little. Of course, if he establishes a knight on c5, something like that, then he could have something more substantial. So that's what he's aiming for, anyway. That's what he's aiming for. I think that is the summit of White's ambition in this position, frankly, because bishop a6 is just threatened, and then that will be really boring. So what happened? Any more moves, or is that it?
That's it.
So Williams is thinking.
Yeah.
All right. So what next?
Keith Arkell.
Yes, the thriller from Manila.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
after bishop b7, queen e2,
Yeah,
queen c7.
yeah.
In comes bishop a6.
Here he comes. The vacuum cleaner attack. What if I trade it and go e5? It meets the vacuum cleaner defense. There's going to be a lot of pieces coming off this board, aren't there?
I mean, like,
Hoover maneuver.
So that is a Hoover maneuver, if I ever found
poor
one.
maneuver.
So once you've done that, he's getting rid of his bishop, who seems to have some
Somewhat.
ways to go, and exchanges off a bishop which has got nowhere.
Well, that's just kind of an admission that White's got nothing, is it? It's just so let me play straightforwardly. Okay, refute that first. I know you're going to say that he's settling down for a 150 move grind,
Yeah,
which is he's
DT5,
going to love
like-
every minute.
Yeah,
But please show me why black isn't totally equal. Take everything off an a4.
Yeah,
That's the normal stuff.
yeah.
Right here. I've played these positions before. Yeah, this sort of stuff. Oh no, that's far too passive. Yeah, something like this, and then claim a slight edge. Is that it?
Yeah.
That's all you can hope for.
Yeah.
Trouble is, I might blow this game up here.
Yeah, knight f3, you lost a pawn.
That's exactly what you were waiting for, wasn't it? The panther pounces.
Right, I think this is again, it's going to be, Arkell.
The word you're looking for is dull. Queen f5. Come on. Who's playing for win now?
Looks like a5. I mean,
A5 in. Okay, I wasn't thinking too much about that. I was stupefied by the
but the approach is like,
the white approach.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to win against Arkle, you really need to
Work hard with.
very, very work hard. I
This,
mean,
this is limbering up to be a draw for our folks. I'm really sorry. It is. I mean, can Pert play for a win? Let's have a look. Takes. Is there any way that black can do anything? I mean, can I play some stupid move like this? Because if black wants to get some purchase here, he's got to sort of play something like that. Preferably with the rooks behind. I don't know. Can you do that? Can you try that?
a4.
A4. I knew you'd suggest that move. Yeah, I mean, that's only going to rebound in white's favour, isn't it? So, okay, then what's wrong with the straightforward e5? I might even prepare it.
I can say there's nothing wrong other than,
Rook b8. What if I just play this? Say
a4, stop you.
Okay, you don't stop anything. Whoops. Oh,
Rook fc1.
Right, let's go.
Well, are you threatening e4 now? b4.
This is really object lesson trying to make something out of nothing, isn't it?
Yeah. Now I think it's going to be a very boring, long,
C4 now.
Or it might be short.
short. But I mean, Nick Pert, now he's seen that board number 2 has ended in a draw, and he might be thinking, that maybe there's, I need to make.
And he's got white tomorrow.
He's got white.
Let's take this out of the equation and go and play white.
Yeah.
That's just a very rational move. It says I've got nothing. E4's nothing. A4's nothing. Let's just get a very dry position, and then I'll see if I've got any way to make it exciting. You can see with your own eyes, it's really really dull.
So Glenn Flair, there's a few more moves.
Flair, few more moves in Flair. Yeah, did he play c5?
1940 played Rook fd1, preparing his pieces.
Knight e4, Rook fd1.
Yeah. Is now black going to play c5? No, you don't think black is going to play c5?
You didn't like that knight on a4, did you?
Mm. Maybe white is white's waiting for black to play f5, and then it could be.
Well, say he does play f5. Let's go. What exactly did you have planned against that?
d5.
D5 now.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Trying something to open up my field.
But C5 is going to be a lot better now than it was last week.
That looks like the wrong pawn advance. C5 looks better now, doesn't it?
And the E6 pawn is going to get affected in the week.
Don't think he will play f5.
Yeah, f5 is too committal. He's got to find another.
Well, I mean, he could play knight g5, for instance. If you want to open up your bishops. I mean, what is black's position looking like? It's looking king side orientated, isn't it? It's looking like white is going to be playing against some sort of king side attack.
Yeah.
So I presume white's got to play a move like knight e1 now, otherwise black might get something. I suppose he could also go e4. It just seems sensible for black to create some action here when white's knight's out on the other flank.
So there's no more moves there, and so if we went to Glenn against Howell, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Rook d1. I don't like f5 at all. So again, black has to find a quiet move. Maybe I think it's time to play c5. I think.
Well, c5 is.
Black going for E5 instead.
Then you are running it c5 again. Maybe.
Okay, what about if black plays c5? What's wrong with it? I mean,
Well, there doesn't appear to be anything wrong with it.
Yeah, but now, you know, what I'm thinking is your knight on a4 is now, you've taken away your c5, and now I can go f5 and, you know, build up my position.
Seems absolutely fine for black. Well, there we are. Engine confirms it. Anything else? It says f5. Although, I mean, of course, white's got a decent position. You know, he's completed his development. But he can't really build up any threats. That's the problem. Therefore, black has time to make these moves. c5 or f5, whatever.
And I think it's the point that, you know, Howell is going to try to keep, you know, keep this central thing. You know, he doesn't want to commit c5. That you know, as well as you know, he doesn't even want to play f5 unless he's sure that it's going to work in his favor. You know, I mean, that knight on e4 is not threatened now. It is threatened by the bishop, but equally defended very well.
The other move, e5. Is that possible? That looks slightly more risky than the c5 move.
So if I play d5, what are you playing now? Your knight is under attack, or you retreating?
Well, I don't mind that somehow.
So are you playing knight c5 now? Is that what you're saying?
No, you can play f5 with
Well, yeah. What's wrong with knight c5? Nothing.
No, knight c5.
You trade?
Take, yeah.
No, knight takes. Now I'm getting my act together. f5. I don't like this for white. I mean, I'm directly threatening e4, aren't I? So I think black must be better here. So maybe e5 is also possible. And Howell is trying to judge which one he would prefer. I mean, e5 looks more dynamic than c5 to me. But in either case, black is probably okay. So that's the position in the game. And I'm pretty sure Howell will play one of those moves. c5 or e5.
Yeah. Just thinking, you know, what is the best way to approach this position. We have one more move in Simon Williams against Hawkins.
Yes, sir.
He played rook e1.
Yep.
And he's saying that if I played bishop f3 next, then your knight goes back to f6. And then, you know, he could do that. You know, I mean, so and Hawkins is has to find a good move here.
Well, one of the ideas is to try and win a pawn, isn't it? So if black plays bishop a6, which might have been his intention, he can't do it now because of this, and then rook takes e7. So that's clearly the point of rook e1 at this moment in time.
Yeah.
Maybe black has to go e6 anyway.
Yeah, black's probably got to do something like this, hasn't he? But then, of course, white can put his bishop on d3, which is a slightly better square than f3, because the queen can come out that way. So say I go there, I've got to go there.
Yeah.
To keep in touch with this square to challenge c5. Now you have to do something.
So while every game on the top board, you know, one ended in a draw and everything looks like...
It's a bit cagey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything they're playing very cagey chess, all of them.
Yeah. We have a flurry of moves in Hebden, if we can just go that. After h3,
Yeah,
knight g5,
yeah.
knight takes, bishop takes, knight f3, as you know, we were looking at this line, bishop into c1, queen into c1, queen f6, in comes queen e3, rook fe8, rook a d1, and now rook e7. It's just you know, quite equal, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is about equal.
Can white make anything out of that pawn on a6 and b5?
Yeah, that's it. They're the only potential weaknesses really in black's camp. It's not really like a normal Spanish because white's got more space, but black's exchanged off a couple of pairs of minor pieces, so that would help his defence under normal circumstances. So white's not really looking for a kingside attack as he normally would do. He's looking for some sort of concession that he can force black to make. So somehow attacking those pawns seems right, but how do we do it? I think it's very, very hard for white to make anything of this particular position. It looks totally equal. Let's see what the kibitzer says. Yeah. The exchanges don't really help white, to be honest. So we've got, unfortunately, for our audiences, rather, to be honest, dreary set of games. They're rather dull, to be absolutely honest. This one could end in a draw very quickly. This one is potentially the most interesting, I think. And we're waiting for e5 or c5. This one, white has a faint edge. Can he create some pressure against the king? Can he get his knight to c5? It seems to be that white's actually playing for something, whereas black is really just playing to defend. So for that reason alone, I prefer white's position.
But earlier on in this, you looked really comfortable with that. I think when you said was wrong for time. Because this isn't really what, what black should be aiming for.
It's transposed into one of the lines of the barrier attack, hasn't it? So, I suppose the problem with this position is that it's difficult for black to win. How stupid is this? Refute this.
c5 now. Okay. f3.
F3, then I was going to take this.
Queen d4 check.
You take it,
cd4.
and then something like this. Oh, then knight b6.
Yeah.
So I have to go here.
And then knights, rook c1, knights. I mean, white is going to have.
White is enormous.
Yeah, white has a edge, definitely, yep.
But why did you take on C5?
Oh, it's check. Yeah, quite right. I can't even take this because of check. Yep, that's it. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more comfortable for white.
No more moves.
So, Hawkins is thinking about the best way to stop all that. Ems v Hebden looks equal. And with that, we come to the afternoon break. So, it's 4:30. We're going to be back at 5 to 5. And we'll go through until the end of the afternoon session then. So, we'll see you then. 25 minutes. Thanks very much. We have to vacate the room now. So, if you wouldn't mind, thank you very much. Yeah, please do turn it on now. Yeah, absolutely.
That gentleman, John who's the editor of this year?
Where?
That the editor of this year.
No. This guy?
What's his name?
Andrew Kinsman.
Huh? Oh, I've seen him.
I had poker, of course. Most people. Yeah, that's the problem I've got at the moment.
Sorry, chaps, we have to vacate the room. Is that all right? Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
The variant.
For me, it's
Sorry, guys, we have to.
too much chance.
Yeah, is that all right? Thank you very much. See you in 25 minutes.
It was alright for
I got it cheap, I thought, so
Time for a coffee break.
yeah, you need one after that. Yeah, double strength.
very strong coffee.
I'll see you down there in 2 minutes. Sorry, I'll see you. 25 minutes.
going on in the end.
Do you know when it's starting again?
I don't know, it seems to change all the time. I think they'll probably just avoid just
Right, okay, right. I saw in the last thing you told me. Right. Thanks.
you want the printer request.
How are the games going?
Sorry, because I cracked it out first. Go down a little.
And then you make a mistake. So what? I know. So it wasn't a mistake, just a mistake. Just a mistake. So I picked the one of the mistake.
So that's what you win the days there. Just wait for the black to be back. Bang. It's a bit of a thing. Easy.
When I came back to the table, back by it was peaceful. Because the other one was the night was to the before and movement going from the 76. And feeling was almost my mind going to the conscious life. I didn't know I was going to do it, and I thought it was
Hello, how are you?
Hi, Andy.
You okay? I've just been told by a friend that he's not, I'm trying to lose some weight. He's not good at trying to lose weight, I've been told. I bought it now, so I'm not going to keep it. I get that. Right. Yes, I'm playing in the morning. I didn't play at the weekend. I went into town on Saturday or Sunday. I had a couple of meetings. Well, it's very nice. So I went to the two cathedrals. There was a transport museum, then there's a museum on Coventry, and there's a art gallery.
Okay, so welcome back everybody if you're watching live here in Warwick and also on the internet. We're going to carry on with our coverage of round 10, the penultimate round. We've got a cagey set of games here this afternoon for you, between mostly grandmasters who are trying hard to win, of course, but they're trying equally hard not to lose. So taking risks is, I would say, not particularly desirable with the tournament situation as it is. A loss at this stage could really make a huge difference. So we rejoined the games, and of course the ball one game between Keith Arkle and Nicholas Pert was looking as though it might be the driest game of the lot, with Arkle moving in his last move, bishop a6.
Bishop a6.
And the bishops were taken off.
Queen a6.
In came the queen.
Rook a b8 threatening that b5.
So rook a b8, we did mention that move. And there are some ideas of trapping the queen, but of course white may play a4 in this
Yeah,
position.
a4,
He did this, okay.
and now queen c8.
Queen c8, so that is
Chess is
a
gonna be-
clear offer to
Yeah.
to make a draw in some ways. Queens came off.
Yeah, queen c8, rook f c8,
Yep.
rook fe1, king f8, king f1, king e7.
Wait a minute. King f8. King f1.
King e7.
Is that it?
Yeah, and what black is saying here is that I'm going to put the king on d6, as long as then maybe I should break e5 and then put my king on e5. So he's trying to create some kind of a position where he's tempting Arkle to play open up with e4 or something like that, when he might get something out of that pawn structure. But if Arkle just continues king e2, king d6, king d3, you know, it's going to be a very, very tame draw.
It is pretty tame.
Yeah, nothing.
There's not a lot going on here, frankly. Black could try to advance his queenside pawn somehow, a6 and b5, and try to create some action against the white pawns on the queen side. I mean, that's where black's rooks are. But on the other hand, with white moving his king to the centre, maybe playing e4, you can't help but think this is just going to be a very tame draw, like I say, unless something extraordinary happens.
Draw big.
I take it all back, an extremely tame draw, which is now just finished. So, really nothing happened in that game of any substance. Keith is happy to make a draw. Nick Pert 2, he's seen what happened on board 2. Danny Gormally shaking hands with his brother.
So I think
And it's all to play for in the last round. But of course, that's going to suit Nick Pert. Gormally Pert, that is a very strange thing, the Gormally agreeing to a draw there, isn't it?
and I think the Pert brothers might be pad each other, and you know, the winner could go for the title, but I don't know which. It could happen, you know, until the pairings come out. We can't say, because looking at the point position, that you know, that 6.5, 7.5, and 7. He's on 7, so he's quite color matching as well. He's not color matching because both of them played black, so that could be the only thing avoiding a all Pert clash in the last round. So
Yeah, really, it's really the last thing that anybody wants to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's go to Fleer versus Howell. Let's get rid of that game because it was extremely dull.
Okay.
And now we come to Fleer versus Howell, and we left it with quite a tense position.
Yeah.
Where we thought black was thinking about, after rook fd1, playing either e5 or c5. c5 was Ravi's move. e5, could white play c5 there, opening up fire against a6?
Yeah, and I thought f5, you know, he wouldn't play f5 because, you know, it's quite a committal move, you know, I mean, but in the end he did decide, I'm going to play f5 to anchor that knight on e4. And now, if white doesn't play c5, the next move could be black playing c5. So that's why here, after f5, c5 played by Glenn Fleer.
Well, I think that's the correct move, isn't it?
Yeah. Pawn takes c5.
Yeah, bishop takes a6.
Bishop takes a6. Bishop takes a6.
Yeah.
Queen takes a6. cd4.
Didn't we saw this position, didn't we?
We saw this.
Now,
position.
hang on a minute. So, c takes d4.
Yeah, I think he's found something.
So, after rook a8...
Yeah.
No,
you played the cd4.
No, I'm
first.
just saying, after rook a8...
We said queen c4.
Yeah, but it was with f5, not with f5. So you would think that f5 makes black's position a lot looser. Just trying to find the right square for the queen.
So am I going to? Is black going to put another knight on d5? So, as it happened in the game, c into d4. You can't capture with knight d4. That wasn't really convenient. So with cd4, ed4, I think black has established some kind of an edge here, and
Takes d4.
So e takes d4 played in the game.
He took with the pawn.
Yeah, you can't take with the knight. You know, I mean that's quite.
That's going to allow bishop takes h2 check minimum.
Yeah.
And queen h4 is a bit of a
Yeah.
crusher, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So, and if he takes with the bishop,
Well, he can, black can still play c5 and other stuff, isn't it?
well, what precisely is it?
c5, I think. I think it is c5.
You know, taking with a pawn is a bit of a concession. I mean, it's saying that he wants to put his knight in on e5, isn't it,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
block the attack.
We could see one knight on d5 and one knight on e4, and if I have that position, you can't play knight e5 because I will get a very favorable exchange of bishop into e5. So c into d4, e into d4, chase the queen away with rook a8, which happened in the game, and now queen c6 played by black.
By white.
By white, sorry, queen c6, and I think one of the things that black is saying here is that, if he plays knight f6 now and he puts another knight on d5, that's quite solid for black, isn't it?
Very tense position. The move f5 gives white renewed chances, doesn't it?
So is now rook fb8 the correct move?
Rook fb8.
Going in the right direction there.
Well, of course, the move I'm looking at is knight c5, but of course it hangs the bishop, so I've got to do something with my bishop.
If you had to play bishop a1,
Let's try rook c2.
knight f6,
Which one? D knight?
d7 to f6.
Yeah, you want to put it here, don't you?
Yeah. And knight c3 just.
It's a little bit awkward because a2 is a little bit loose, isn't it?
So rook a8.
What if I did play knight c3? Then
I take it off once, and then you've got to take horribly with bishop, and then I slot the other knight into d5. I mean, it's not.
It looks better for black, doesn't it?
Yeah.
White's position is that knight on a4, the bishop on b2. They're a little bit loose. The queen is a bit exposed. Black's position is a bit tighter. It's got everything defended.
So he didn't play rook b8. Now he played knight d7 to f6, immediately threatening to put another knight on d5. And the point of this
Beautiful
is,
square.
yeah, white can't put knight c3 because of knight chops off c3 and then rook takes a2. So I think white's position is quite loose here. Queen on a4, the queen on c6 and the knight on a4 are all hanging. He's just about holding it, but the way his pieces are, kind of isolated. I would say isolated, with the bishop on b2, as well as the knight on a4.
That not, this configuration on the queen side is very loose, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think Glenfier's in a spot of bother here. Let's see just how bad it is. Okay, he's holding it around the +1 mark, which is a pretty significant advantage at this level. So he's got a lot of hard work to do.
Yeah.
How's time?
Time is Howell has 35 minutes against 39 minutes by.
Plenty of time by his standards. We're used to seeing him coming down to his last 10 seconds.
Yeah, right. And this is an easy position. It's not the complicated one where, you look at this one position, you can see, all right, my knight goes to d5. What next? Queen e8 could be a very decisive move after knight on d5.
Yeah, Queen e8 might also be a positional threat.
Yeah, it's just that,
And then that uncovers all sorts of looseness around the white queen side. So black is on top. So let me just promote the variation, and then we will move on.
Yeah.
So that's it at the moment,
Yeah.
up to queen c6,
Yeah.
knight df6. Right, okay.
Right. Now, in Hawkins' game, we have had some good developments.
Right, so we thought when we left it after rook e1 that Williams was slightly better.
Yeah.
We didn't see Hawkins' next move, which
Yeah.
is the break e5.
Yeah.
But does that make a difference? Because white moves his bishop out of the way to f1, wasn't it?
Yeah, bishop f1.
And then black still got problems.
Yeah, rook e8 now.
Yep,
And now rook e3.
yep.
Finally shielding an attack against f2.
That's threatening pawn takes pawn, isn't it?
Yeah, and now Hawkins comes in with f5.
Wow, that is real aggression, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm wondering if I now take on e5,
Yes.
and if you play rook e5, queen d4, how bad is your position? If you take rook e5, queen d4, you might be actually you might be forced to play some very passive endgame.
Well, it almost looks as though that's, you know, all or nothing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
For Hawkins.
You say F4 and you say instead of rook takes e5.
Well, f4 we go rook f3, and you better have a good move.
Yeah,
In fact, you've probably got to go g5 here, haven't you?
Yeah, then queen d4.
And it's looking pretty loose.
no good.
He was so afraid of that knight coming to c5 that he decided to lash out.
Yeah. So d into e5.
I think that's probably got to be played, hasn't
yeah.
it?
D into e5, and now f4.
f4, rook f3.
Yeah. And
You're stuck for a move.
No, you have to play rook takes e5.
Well, rook takes e5, then queen d4
No, I
minimum,
mean,
but rook takes f4. What's wrong with that?
No, not F4, not F4. Before F4.
Oh, rook takes e5 here.
Right.
Then we go queen here.
yeah.
Very
As
nasty.
you quite correctly say,
Yeah.
if he plays something like queen takes,
This is horrible, isn't it, suddenly?
Yeah.
Horrible.
So Hawkins had a very good resource. So he did not recapture on e5. He played knight into f2.
When? D takes e5?
Yeah, knight into f2.
Okay. Well, but now queen d4?
Yeah, queen d4 played,
Yeah.
and now he puts the knight back to e4.
Okay, it's worth pointing out that king takes f2 is impossible because of f4. So queen d4,
Knight e4.
knight e4 coming back.
Yeah, and the point that now white has to play queen. White played queen d4, knight e5. The point is black has a very solid plan of putting the bishop on e6 and threatening c5. If you have to exchange the queen on a7, then that pawn on e5 will fall. So Hawkins has managed to find this knight f2, queen d4, knight e4, and now it's black has a clear plan. One bishop goes to e6, which is the only bishop, only bishop goes to e6, and then c5. And the threat of that, and very similar to that Flair game, what is the knight doing on a4 now?
Well, I was hoping to get it back into the game by chopping off the knight on e4. Let's give it a go. So, is this any good?
Are you
what's with c5?
c5, queen d5, bb7? You might be in trouble. Or,
Bishop e6.
and then c4.
This move,
Yeah, c5. Bishop e6, bishop e6,
bishop e6.
followed by c4. Nasty c4.
Looks very good for black, that, doesn't it?
Yep. So
So we have a complete turnaround here. What's going
Can you
on?
go back to before
D takes
play
it.
D takes
F5.
Because it looks as if he made it rumble.
So now white forces the exchange of the queens, and he plays e6 check.
I wonder if he saw knight takes f2. So knight takes f2.
Yeah.
Queen d4.
Yeah. Knight e4,
Knight e4.
and now e6 check, forcing that queen to exchange.
I see.
Yeah, and I think now that after queen d4, ed4, the move is rook b8, and now the pawn on e6 will fall, and I think black has an edge in this endgame.
So takes,
Rook b8,
rook b8, b3,
rook b4.
rook b4, rook d1.
Yeah, now king f6. Just nudge it to a good position.
Well, black's going to win a pawn.
Yeah, and black is it will make a fight out of this one, isn't it?
Well, first of all, I can't do that. You just take on d4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Strange turnaround of events there. So going back to f5 once more, was d takes e5 a mistake?
Well, if you
It
don't
looks
play
like it likes black's position here after rook e1. D takes e5, knight takes f2. So d takes e5, according to the machine, is probably not that great, but let's keep going.
And now e6 check. He's played queen into d4, c into d4, and we could expect rook b8.
Yeah, it likes black's position here, whatever white plays. After e6 check, I imagine the evaluation is going out. It's gone massively out. It thinks
queen
e6
d4,
check is a mistake. E6 is a mistake. So
Yeah.
queen d4,
cd4,
cd4, yes.
rook b8.
Rook b8, best move. Is that played? Yes.
Rook c1, rook e6. I don't like this.
Rook c1 played?
No, not yet.
No, not yet.
He's played rook b8 now, of course.
Yeah.
Looks, Hawkins is going to now, go on for.
I think rook c1 might be better. Rook b1.
Well, okay, it all seems to have gone wrong. That knight on e4 is a pillar of strength, and suddenly white's been forced to give up his pawn.
We have a flurry of moves in Hebden. If we can just.
Black seems to be better there. Sudden turnaround. Hebden.
Yeah.
M's Hebden. Rook e7 was the last move. Move 17.
Move 17, rook e7. D into e5. D into e5. And now powerful move, rook d5. Rook doubles. And white now takes control of the position with rook e to d1. Bishop e6. Rook c5 hitting the knight. Knight a5. And now b3, simply telling black that your knight is quite like, it doesn't like knight c4 there. And now bishop c8 is threatening something like knight b7 and some kind of
Rejection of the rook.
yeah, and then rook c to d5, and now knight b7 covering, and the knight is now going to sit on d6 if possible. The only thing in this position that it's a bit intriguing is that, can I really go queen a7 here? But it's not attacking anything either.
Well, the rook on d5 looks impressive, but black can just get rid of it, can't he?
Yeah. So we have one more move in this position. White played c4,
Yep.
and if black plays c6, he's got to get the rook back to d2, isn't it?
Well, c6 really limits your knight, doesn't it?
Yeah. Should I play bishop e6, rook e5, and then take on c4, take on c4, bishop takes c4?
Well, what if I take on c4 first,
I take with the pawn.
then go bishop e6?
Rook.
Do it the other way round, just
rook e5,
then you take this.
rook e7.
I'm slightly concerned there might be some trick here with queen
Yeah, with e5 is
a7.
coming. You can't allow this.
I can't allow it. I can't allow queen takes.
Yeah. E5.
Why can't I allow that?
Well, then you open queen e4.
Threatening this move.
Yeah. So black.
Okay, well,
Black needs a good move here, isn't it?
I just found one.
That's his job.
I was listening to the audience.
So rook c1 now.
Rook c1 now. Can I be greedy and go bishop takes a2? This is extremely doubtful, but we'll give it a go.
So if I move bishop f5, you're going to play knight e6, are you?
Bishop f5. I might play bishop e6.
Okay.
But you're not going to win this, are you? No way. I think, what's the exact position? C4.
C4.
I think white is still working with a limited range of tools at his disposal because of this early exchange of minor pieces. Although black looks a little bit cramped, there aren't that many weaknesses to defend. And what's wrong with this? I mean, it's got to take this and then go there. Is there anything wrong with this continuation? Obviously, black's position is a little bit loose. Is there any clear way to win material here for
He
white?
doesn't need to do this. He can take on c4.
No, he doesn't need to do this, but could he? I want to get some counterplay against this pawn. Okay, obviously white has got a very slight advantage because black's minor pieces are a bit sprayed out. But I don't think it amounts to very much.
So the only thing here is now white has about 13 minutes left on the clock.
Minute edge for white.
White has 13 minutes on the clock, and black has about 54 minutes. So I mean, Hebden has a comfortable.
But black's ability to complicate the position, to emphasise the advantage on the clock, is limited, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you know, your pieces are so cramped.
So is C6 the move then? Should I?
Well, C6, okay, yeah, but then you let the queen in here, don't you? I mean, you don't really want to let that queen in, so I would withdraw. Now, what's your next move? I don't like that. It loosens the file, you know. Next move, Queen 8, B6 probably, and you might be in trouble. Yes.
G4, like the bishop is buried. Piece up, no? Piece up.
Black. What do you mean?
B4, sorry, B4. B4.
Black plays B4. Well, that helps me to play this, doesn't it? He's out of it now, but he won't be out of it in a minute when I've taken all your pawns off.
So C4, no more moves.
Well, it's a big moment in the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a big moment. Hebden's got to find the right defence. Also, he wants to win. So, how can he keep things complicated at the same time defend himself?
So he's played B4 now. Committing B4.
He played B4.
Yeah.
No, that's not the same position because black hasn't played C6. Before you, you know, are too triumphal, let's recognise this is a different position.
So is he now going to play pawn to A5 and then, you know, get his knight to D6? Is he aiming for that now? Now that he's aiming for knight D6, and if he plays C5, he gets the outpost on C3, and you don't want to play C5 yourself because of C5 now, and then you know you might just play Queen C6, and you know you might just play it very slowly.
All right, so B4. This is a risky move. It's a clear sign that Hebden is thinking about winning this game, and he's willing to take a few risks.
That's the way he plays chess.
Because the pawn could be very exposed there. It is bad, but it's got potential.
So only thing that might work for Hebden is that you know John Eames has about 11.5 minutes left to to play out this position.
Trying to figure out what I would do if I was Eames in this position. It's not that easy.
Can you also put the put queen on c6 and then f6 and then bishop e6? It's not easy for you to and then I got this access to the c5 square.
Okay, what if I play queen e1?
Queen e1,
Yeah.
a5.
Okay, and now I need a good move.
You need the queen on a1, but you can't. Now
I come back.
Queen c6.
Okay, wake me up when you threaten something. Queen a7.
f6.
I don't like that move very much. What does that do?
I'm going to play bishop e6 and chase your rook out of this outpost on d5, and then I might play just queen c5, and my knight is much better placed on c5. This is Hebden could play this for a long time.
It could turn in black's favour if white drifts.
So
yeah, white's got no entry point on the d file.
Yeah.
He can't seem to attack that pawn and win it.
What about A3?
A3.
a3, take on a3, then b4, a5 is there. I mean, it's the same thing. But the point
No, but a5's not there, is it? What do you mean?
What happens if I play f5 now? Or you take it?
I take it. Yeah, this might be the best way to do it.
And now knight d6.
Right, d6, yeah. The tricks continue. Here we go.
Knight b5.
Okay. It's a different type of game now, isn't it? Now I get my bishop in pinning.
Bishop b7. I'm kicking you from the other side.
Nasty. Yep, not totally convincing at all. So this is what Hebden's playing on. You know, it's difficult for White to find the correct continuation. A3 maybe is what Ems wants to play, but I don't think he will. Right, a tense game there. Good. Arkle finished. Gormali finished. Fleer how?
After Queen C6, Knight BF6.
Yeah, it looks though Black's getting on top.
Yeah, and now A3 trying to do something like now the knight on
A3.
Yeah, now the knight on A4 can reroute itself, but I think I don't like this position for Glenn at all.
I like your Queen E8 move. Is that not quite strong?
Well, he can play Queen E8, Rook F8, Knight C3, and then allow Bishop to A3, but then C7 is hanging. So you might have to take on C3 at the time. So Queen E8, Queen into E8, Rook F into E8, Knight C3, Knight into C3, Rook into C3, Knight comes into D5, and this is quite unpleasant.
Extremely unpleasant. Rook B3, Rook EB1, Rook EB8.
Yep.
You're getting into real trouble because each of your pieces is worse than the black counterpart. That's the problem. So that could be serious. So Queen E8 looks good. Is there anything else?
No more moves.
A3 just feels horrible to play it, doesn't it?
We have another flurry of moves in Simon Williams against Hawkins.
Okay.
Rook B8, he played Rook B3.
Rook B3. Okay, that's got to go.
Yeah.
That has to go.
Yeah, Rook into B3, A into B3.
Yeah.
Bishop E6, gobble up the pawn.
Yeah, with Rook B8
Rook
coming.
C1, attack the weak pawn.
Yep.
And now Bishop F7.
Bishop F7 or Bishop
Yeah.
D7?
No, Bishop F7.
Right.
Rook into C6, and in comes Knight D2, and I don't like this position for White. You know, now first threat is Rook E1. If you have to play King F2, then he gobbles B3, and then D4 is gone. It's not easy at all, is it?
This is not easy.
So Bishop B5 played now.
Bishop B5 has been played, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think now it could be Rook B8.
There's also Rook E3. Well, that seems to do some damage, doesn't it?
So if I took on B3, what's your cheapo? If I had put the Rook on E8, and I still took on B3.
You take that.
Yeah, I'm hoping you play Rook C3.
Well, I don't think I've got a cheapo, have I? Okay, show me.
No, there's no cheapo. Knight into D4. Bishop into E8 is Knight D2 check.
God, you're so lucky to have that.
Knight into C3. You might be able to hang on there.
Knight takes C3.
Yeah, takes. Yeah, you could be hanging on here.
So he's
Well,
played.
obviously, black is clearly
So Bishop
better.
B5, he's played Rook B8, and he's saying that
Bishop B5, Rook B8.
Yeah, and he's taking that out of the equation, and he's saying if you play Rook B6, he will win the B3 pawn and the D4 pawn, and he will go on to try to do something about it. So Simon Williams, we feel is in trouble.
He's definitely in trouble, yeah. Yep, the bishop's being nudged away from its active location, and that means there's no tricks with Rook C7 in the position.
So we have a couple more moves in Hebden game. We can just shift to that.
Yep,
C5 was played.
Yep.
He felt he cannot allow that.
A5,
And now C6 kicking the Rook back to D3.
D3,
Yeah, Rook came to D2, sorry. Rook
D2,
came to
yeah.
D2, sorry. And now offering Queen exchange with F4 and saying your C5 pawn isn't great.
sorry, F4, what do you mean?
Queen F4.
Queen F4.
And he's saying that C5 is undefendable if you exchange the queen. If you not, I'm going to chop off E3 and I'm going to chop off C5. So this is, Hebden,
Grinding
it's
away.
emerging. It's emerging with something here. And
Is that true?
queen into f4 played, and
Yeah.
now e into f4,
Yeah.
and now c5 pawn definitely lost.
Well, I've got counterplay against c6.
Yeah, what are you going to play here?
My bishop is not great, is it?
So do you want to play bd3?
I was thinking of playing something like that.
Yeah, knight d4, bd7.
Yep, you just defend yourself. That was what I was worried about.
So can I play? I can't play knight b5.
Well, I was hoping that something like f3, let's say. You take the pawn?
Yeah,
Bishop b1.
yeah, and
Is it so easy to hold all your pawns together?
1986.
Well,
Well, that's the way of holding.
knight e6, rook c1. I don't think it's that easy, is it? To hold everything together. I mean, this looks as though it could be quite difficult for black. Yeah, there's also knight f5 as well. There's
Yeah,
knight f5. Okay,
yeah,
so that's a
yeah.
mistake.
but
Yeah.
he hasn't.
Quite right.
He hasn't played that. He played. He hasn't played that. He hasn't played knight d4. He's just played rook d4.
Rook d4. Yeah, going after the pawn.
Yeah, and then he's thinking that if black plays a5, he will play e5, and then if you take on c5, he will take on f4. I think white might be better now, isn't it?
So a5,
Rook
e5.
e5, yeah. And you have to go g5. Sorry, g5 is there now. g5.
What's wrong with g5? Yeah.
a5 played by Hebden, and now he's threatening clearly knight into c5, and if white goes e5, it's probably g5, and you know.
Well, if he plays knight c5, I've got rook c4 there, so it's not totally clear.
Yeah, but if you don't play that, then you know I can play bishop e6 next move, g5 next move. You know, black can make some progress here, isn't it?
It is true.
And in you know, with the clock ticking, and you've got about 9 minutes left now. He's played e5.
He played it. I
Yeah.
like now. I quite like your move g5.
Yeah, g5.
I must admit.
And then h4. Bishop g4. Yeah, that's where you go down badly.
So if g5,
h4, bg4.
no, you can't. Yeah.
And now bishop e4, chop off f3, chop off c5, chop off e5. It's got to be a bad position for white, because once you play g5, both the pawn on c5 and e5 will be eventual targets.
It just likes actually taking this pawn off on c5. And if rook takes f4, bishop e6, just keep the position intact.
Yeah.
But still, you would think, I mean, I personally would think white's position's improved recently.
Yeah.
Because he's activated his bishop, hasn't he? I mean, I must admit, g5 looks attractive.
Now going back to
I wonder what he'll play.
Going back to Hawkins.
Yep.
There's one more move, rook b6,
Aha, okay.
rook into b6,
Yes.
knight into b6, knight into d4, knight into knight into b3,
Yeah.
bishop c6. What's he planning for this?
Well, I think he's planning a pawn up endgame, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, knight endings are like pawn endings, so why don't I go for the knight ending?
Yeah, and then now I play bishop d5.
Yeah, okay.
Chop this.
Chop it off. Well, I would imagine this is probably lost, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knight endings, very similar to pawn endings. Take the knights off, white's losing. So, yeah, king f7. King f2.
Yeah. He's down, taken the pawn, and he's gone into this variation.
Okay, so we get this endgame, which
It's very promising.
Extremely promising.
Right.
I
and
don't know whether this is 100% win, you know, but it might well be.
Very nice.
I think it's very important that White gets rid of the queenside pawns if he can. If he can get down to 3 versus 2, even that might be lost. Even that might be lost, yeah.
Should White play B3 then?
We shouldn't play B3, certainly.
No early.
Well, if he wants to shorten the game, he can play it. Earlier. Well, but where?
so
There was a pawn on B3 which disappeared,
Okay.
so there was no point at which you could play it.
the position on the analysis board is what exactly happened in that game, and now he's played King F7.
Well, it's not exactly revelatory, is it, trying to find these moves? I mean, they are fairly easy moves to find. It's just a question of whether Black... I would imagine this is a nice, comfortable win for Black, isn't it, somehow? Let's see, King F2. My king comes up. Now, what do you do?
It's C3.
Right, C3, yeah. Now I want my king in.
King E5.
Right, the knight's diagonally opposite the pawn. I don't think I want the king on E5.
Well, okay.
Actually.
E6.
I would like to play... What don't I want him to play? What if I just threaten to invade?
King E3.
Now he can invade, so that gets messy.
He is not invading.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, this is a difficult night in game, you know.
Here we go. That's the idea, generally. I want to get down there.
that's an illegal move.
It is an illegal move, that's true.
The opponent gets an extra 2 minutes.
That is true, of course that's true. That's true. So, okay. This endgame
So King F2.
is
knight
a classic knight endgame, isn't it? It's a classic
no,
knight
he's-
game.
King F2 is played. King F2 played, and now he's got Knight C6.
Okay. So
Just aiming for that king to come in if possible. Yeah.
he could take his time. He could take his time.
Right. Back to M's against Hebdan.
What do you think, Ravi? Is this 100% win, or has White got some drawing chances? What White's got to do is try and exchange some pawns off. I think it's this pawn here that's going to kill him in the end. This one's going to absolutely kill him.
No, I think Hebdan is managing to get ahead in his game.
This one?
Not
Just
this
start-
one. This one is black. It's better.
We know that, but is it a win?
No,
You don't think it's a win?
there's play left around. It's not that easy. It's not a simple win. It could be a complicated win.
Okay, I think that it's very, very difficult for White.
Hey,
What's going to happen? Black's going to come over with his king and try to create a pass pawn slowly on the king's side.
Couple more moves in Hebdan.
All right, that could take all night. Okay,
In Hebdan game,
Ems versus Hebden.
E5, knight into C5.
E5, he whips it off. Yes.
Yeah, and then rook C4.
Rook C4, not rook takes F4.
Now rook C4, he goes knight E6 with the threat that he can. Rook C4 played.
Yeah, knight E6.
Yeah, and then now bishop E4 played.
So if rook takes C6, bishop B7, and he
Yeah.
takes on F3.
Yeah.
So bishop here.
Yeah, and now is he going to play C5?
I was on to the 4.
He's got remove that knight on F3, so he can play. He can in fact force bishop A. He can force.
What if I go C5
Yeah, that's one.
with the idea of bishop B7?
Yeah, but I got to go bishop C6 first.
Bishop here. Aha. Well, okay, rook D8.
Take on C5.
Take, bishop. Rook C5.
Yeah.
And that probably won't be a win, will it?
Yeah. So bishop E4, and Hebden is thinking whether to play C5 or whether to play another move there.
Yeah, I must admit this is looking a little bit drawish.
I think he should not have taken on C5.
What if he goes bishop A6
rook C6?
and then bishop E2?
and then he, you know, I
Go
have
after the knight.
rook e1
Well, I was going to take the knight.
and take the bishop, and then knight d4.
Something like that.
Yeah, he has something like.
I want that knight off the board.
After this.
And then knight g5 or something like that. So bishop a6. There'll be some favourable liquidation after bishop c6, won't there?
Yeah.
For instance, if I take and if he takes this, we take this. He takes this.
Bishop takes these.
Then f7 check, bishop f7 check. I want that knight off the board. That's the key, so I'm going to come here.
Rook c8, rook d8.
There's a knight there. You can't go rook
No,
d8.
this is.
You
yeah,
can't go rook d8. This is lost because black's hitting three white pieces. So bishop a6, he must play rook takes c6 and then in. Now then. I'm hitting your rook, I'm hitting the knight.
So bishop a6,
Rook d5 looks right, doesn't it?
Yeah, rook c6, and then bishop e2, rook d5.
Okay, so then I will stand by this,
Yeah,
whipping
bishop,
this
bishop
off.
f3, and then knight g5.
Yeah, this is it. This is what I want.
Yeah, this is quite big.
Well, but he continued to liquidate. So takes. I mean, this looks pretty drawish. I mean, after takes, rook b6. How on earth? Black's never going to win that, is he? In a million years.
Or rook e4.
So Hebden is
Eh?
thinking.
Rook c4.
Well, that's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's not split hairs. Rook c4 also is a good move, as you say.
Few more moves back in.
Well, it's interesting. You know, the black pawns are very weak, aren't they? They're very, very weak.
So what were you going to do if I played c5? What's your threat?
Well, I was going to go bishop c6, wasn't I?
Yeah, bishop c6, rook f8.
Rook f8.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've got to try and regain my pawn. So bishop there.
Bishop a6.
Bishop takes these.
Then I take the knight.
So okay, I think this is he's still thinking what to do here. And he's played c5 now.
He played c5.
Yeah, and then now bishop b5.
Or bishop c6 first,
Yeah,
pushing the rook to an inactive square. Slight refinement.
right. Back to Hawkins playing. There's a few more moves there.
If I was to predict a result, I would say that would be a draw, but it's pretty complicated. Anything can happen. So, right, Fleer versus Howe. We haven't seen that for a while. It looked as though it was going to be very uncomfortable after a3. Let's see if.
Yeah,
Let's
there's only
see
one
if-
more move.
Yeah.
A3, queen d7.
Okay, so same motivation. Get the active queen off
Yeah.
the board, then
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
White's queen side fall apart.
All right.
Times?
Yeah, no more times. 27 minutes for and 12 minutes for Howell.
So Howe is starting to use up time. He's going down to this water torture 1 second lark, you know. Down to the last 5 seconds. Make your move. On with the show. Really difficult to cope with. Yeah. Well, Black's position is much better, isn't it? Glenn's got some problems. Anybody see a move? I think you've got to trade the queens, haven't you?
That-
You must trade the queens.
Yes.
So he takes. All right.
Knight c3.
Well, knight c3 at the very least. I can whip off the pawn.
Chop off c3 and again knight b6.
You can play bishop takes a6.
I quite like this move. Just simple chess. What do you do?
Rook.
Rook takes, then come there.
Even simple.
Got loads of threats.
Even simple is taking.
I think this is very simple. It's very unpleasant for White.
Instead of knight c3, with white got rook c4.
Let's have a look. In this position, rook c4.
Doesn't look right.
Well,
Illegal.
okay. So your position is creaking, isn't it? So what if I I'm a double rooks on the rook. I've got rook b8 or rook, something like rook a somewhere, and then double up. I'm a rook a somewhere, and then double up. Looks as though it's going to win a pawn, doesn't it?
Okay, there is
It's a question of where. Where shall I put it? Where shall I put that rook? I mean, that can't be bad, can it? That cannot be bad. Threatening rook a4 immediately. So black's got a very nice selection of moves after that.
So we have a few more moves in the.
So queen d7, no moves
no,
by.
no more moves.
Right. So we're going to this night ending.
Yeah.
Will we see a model performance by Jonathan Hawkins?
And after king f2, he went knight c6.
King f2, knight c6. Yep.
King e3, king e6.
Yep.
Knight f4, king e5.
Yep.
h4, knight b4.
h4. Yep.
He's now threatening to play knight d5 check, and
Swap off.
yeah, almost that white knight is gone to a board, and now he's gone back knight e2.
Okay. Well, knight d5 check looks quite a good move, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks quite good. Yeah.
Well, you've got to go back to the king side. Haven't you?
Yeah, I've got to go back to f2. Yeah, and then you can play king e4 and then inch yourself into victory.
Well, knight d5 check, king f3. What's wrong with that? Sorry.
Knight d5 check, king f3, king d4. Knight f.
You can't.
Now he's played a4,
Aha.
allowing knight c3. Then he has knight d5 check going to that endgame. So he's kind of restricting white and saying to white that you don't have many moves.
No. Knight c3, knight d5 check. They're starting to get very critical because black's playing on both sides of the board, and it's stretching white's defence, isn't it? White's, once he played h4, he's really weakened this square. That's the problem, isn't it? You're going to have to. H4 is a weak move, I think.
So in Hebden's game, white we go back to.
Okay,
Hebden.
this is well. Just let's just say that actually this is starting to look lost, isn't it?
Yeah, white played g3 now here.
G3, yeah.
Looks quite. Black can play h6, and he can slowly build up pass pawn there. It's quite tricky. So going back to Hebden, if we can just run there.
C5.
C5 played, and now bishop e4, c5. Now bishop f5.
Okay.
The question I'm asking is, can I play knight g5? And if you played bishop c8, I want to play knight f3 check, and then rook into c8, and then anyway it will be a double rook endgame, isn't it?
Well, that's pretty forcing.
Yeah.
Take this.
Yeah, rook knight f3 check.
Take this. Take it.
Yeah.
Take it. Take
Rook
now.
d5.
Rook d5.
Double the rook.
No, then rook c takes c5. I don't think this is winning, is it? In fact, I prefer
So
white.
So for bishop f5, should he play bishop a6?
Bishop f5. Hang on. Bishop a6. He takes a knight.
The only way to hold the pawn is that.
I still stand by my assessment that you've got to get that knight off the board. So what if I go bishop b7? Just let you have the pawn. That's the best chance to win this, isn't it?
Yeah, he's still thinking.
What are you doing here?
No, he's still thinking. Yeah, you're right.
I've got to get that knight off the board.
And bishop e6.
Bishop e6, just take it.
Yeah.
Now it's your move.
Rook into
Take it,
c5.
Rook c5, take this, take this, take this.
Yeah.
This looks better than it's been.
Yeah.
But it must be a draw after, for instance, that. Yeah, white's easily active enough to hold a draw here. I prefer white in this position.
Hang on a minute.
Yeah,
Rook e1 check. You're going to king g2,
yeah.
and now rook
A1.
a1.
Right, you want to mate me, don't you? He's playing for mate.
Yeah.
This is not nice.
Take the pawn.
No, I think I'll show a bit of
You're losing the
Now
pawn
you're
after rook
losing the
e5.
Oh my god, he's found an ingenious way to win it. Okay, you were lucky there. Right, let's go back.
Lucky.
My middle name
A
is
grudging, a grudging.
Your name's long enough anyway. You don't
Yeah.
have a middle name.
No, but we
As
keep,
well.
he keeps on saying Lucky. People may think, oh, my middle name is Lucky.
What is your full name, brother?
That's a difficult question.
Lucky Ravikumar.
Lucky Ravikumar.
All right, so that seems to be at least a draw
Yeah,
for black.
yeah.
So getting this knight off the board is the right approach.
So bishop e7. How did you get the draw then? You were
You didn't
losing.
get the draw.
I didn't get the draw. I
No.
was just admitting defeat.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Is that all
Thank you.
right?
Yeah.
Any more admissions you'd like?
No.
Okay, good. Well, okay, so that's the idea. We must get rid of that knight. So let's run through this one more time. So takes.
Yeah.
Well, of course I messed up, didn't I? I messed up big time. What if I go? Yeah, pawn is a pawn is a pawn.
Well, my guess is rook takes, rook checks, and rook a8 will.
Well, yeah, but and then so here. No guarantee. This is going to be a long night at the office.
Well, rook a7.
A long, very unproductive night at the office.
Rook a7. It's very hard to play.
Yeah, rook c5.
It's hard to break through, but it's even harder for white to defend.
No, but one of the principal things could be the black king coming to f6, g5,
Yeah, something like this.
yeah, and then d4. King approaching to that queenside pawns.
You might get to 40 points.
You may be able to hold this. You may be able to hold this, but against Hebden, it would not be a very pleasant experience. So, has he played any moves after bishop f5?
Yes, he has played bishop b7,
Okay,
and for bishop e6, he simply played rook e6.
this is the game.
Yeah, and he's thinking that if you play rook c5, chop off on f3, take on e5, and then a difficult endgame on the cards for Ems to hold that position. And
Yeah, but what else does he have? Because otherwise he's taking on f3, isn't he?
yeah,
I think this endgame is going to occur.
he's taken on f4.
Takes on f4. Well, I didn't like that because I thought he could take this and then take this.
Yeah,
And
that's-
probably he wants to go. Sorry, not there. Probably he wants to go here.
Yeah.
But I think the more queenside pawns you leave on the board, the more difficult it's going to be for white.
Can't I play now a4?
Well, I thought about that.
Yeah.
And get in behind the c pawn and then
Yeah.
go a4. I think this is more difficult for white than the other one. Okay, so what we overlooked?
I just want to have another question. In this position after rook f4, why do I need to chop off the knight straight away? Why can't I play rook c8? And I'm threatening,
Nothing.
no, or rook a8.
Actually, you are threatening bishop takes knight followed by rook takes pawn.
Yeah.
I think you're over elaborating. Rook c8, rook d7.
And then I chop off.
Yeah, but then how does this same endgame, is it? Except you're not going to take that because I take on f7.
So rook f4.
No, let's force the pace here. Take everything off and say how you're going to draw this.
So rook d7, rook e7.
I think it's worse than this one. I think there's more drawing chances here for white than this one.
So Hebden has taken the knight on f3 straight away.
Of course he will.
Rook f3 and then rook e5 is a solid pawn up.
It is blockaded.
Yeah. So I can't play anything like rook c1. He's going to enjoy.
I think black's plan is something like rook here to here and then go a4.
Or play
This is the way to play it. And
rook
then
check.
in behind the pass pawn, then a4 and white is suffering. I think
Okay.
this could be really nasty. Just
Yeah.
that simple plan.
Yeah, and then this is the position we have on the board. Is what happened is taken on e5, taken on f3, rook takes f3, rook e5, and white is thinking, and it's got 4 minutes left for the next 5 moves, and he's got to play this long end game where he's played rook d7.
Yeah, okay, rook 8 e7 coming
Yeah,
up.
Yeah, rook 8 e7. Can I play now rook d8 check?
You can. King h7.
And then if you played king at 7, then rook a8.
Rook c8. Rook a8.
Yeah. So should white now play rook on 5 to e7 to avoid all this thing?
This move.
Yeah. And if rook d5, rook c7, and you know you are.
Maybe you should.
Yeah.
So then here, and then
Rook
here,
c7,
is that right?
yeah.
Or here. No, this
Rook
one, yeah.
c7, yeah.
Yeah.
And now rook ff5, c4. And then you are taking the 8th one, isn't it?
That's the point.
Well, I can't play double my rook b5.
Well, I can also go check and rook here, can't I?
Yeah. Well, I was more thinking to put my rook on c1.
Isn't this very good for white, for
Yeah,
black?
it's equally good. Yeah. So he's played rook e1 check for rook d7,
Yeah.
putting the king on h2, and now he's gone back from e1 to e7, and he's saying that the king is in the best piece on h2, and if you try anything on my d5 pawn, he's quite happy to get that rook e2 at the last instance.
So
Not
rook here,
straight.
yeah?
Yeah, rook c8, I think. Either of them is fine. So this is a long endgame now.
If he's saying these things, doesn't he get caught?
Huh?
We keep him saying he's saying this, then he's being forfeited. We're talking about the game while it's in progress.
No, man. Well, what
Figure
he
of
meant
speech,
was
yeah,
he's
figure of
thinking.
speech. Okay, so
Some moves say things, I think that's what he's saying.
is this the position of the game?
I mean, Hebden. I'm trying to get into Hebden's head.
Well, he wants to play rook c7 and a4.
It's
All clear.
difficult.
That's absolutely clear.
Right. Okay.
So that is the position.
Yeah, that is the position. We
And
have-
now he's moved his rook back, hasn't he? He's played rook d5.
yeah.
Can we just come down, please?
It's moved rook d5.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm expecting rook. I'm expecting rook c7.
Yeah. Okay.
From which
We have a
position?
few more moves in Simon Williams' game. Can we go through that, please?
Yep. Sure.
And after
G3 was the last move.
Yeah. Knight d5.
Yes.
King f3.
So if he comes to the other side,
Yeah. King. Yeah. It comes then could be f4 and you know f4 could be dangerous.
f4 could be quite dangerous.
Okay.
So let's count this out. Hang on a minute. Take.
So you okay? Take. King take 1.
King
2,
c4,
3,
h5,
4.
king b4,
5.
g5,
Yeah.
and you win by about 1,000,000 tempi.
Yeah.
Is that good enough? Okay.
So he's played king f3 and now knight b6, threatening knight c4.
So king f3, yeah, but the king is drifting offside.
Yeah.
Now
Knight,
what?
Knight b6, threatening knight c4,
Very nasty.
and now knight c3 on the pawn,
Yes.
and in comes the king d4, and I think this is quite difficult for white.
Right, I'm going to go on a rampage in that case.
Yeah.
Not very far.
Yeah.
I can't play king f4 because you go knight d5 check, can I?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah, I can play knight d5 check.
So let me see from f4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. What am I getting there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Too quick. But I might be queen with check. Does that
Yeah.
make a difference?
Right, let's go for it. Knight d5 check.
Okay.
Knight to d5, king into d5.
On the rampage.
On the rampage, he says.
Draw, the man says.
King c4, king at 6, king b3, king at 7, king b2.
No draw. Why draw?
Yeah.
I'm queening before you.
Queen.
Draw.
Yeah, queen.
Yeah, you're right all along. It's a dead draw.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so let's go back to this position. Knight c3, king d4.
Can I just try to trick them that anyway? I thought there was something.
Well, keep going. Let's go back. This is the game position. What are you doing?
I'm saying I'm going playing king f4.
You really want to do that?
And I just want at the far
Check.
end when you went a1 queen.
Well, does that work?
Can we go a1 queen and can I play
Don't want to do that
Why do you keep on doing it?
because I like it. Override,
king
yeah.
f5? You know you will win this one. Yeah.
What are you trying to trick me exactly?
Me too.
You're going to leave the G pawn out. You see, if you sweep the G pawn, something could happen because it's a rook pawn. So you need to leave the pawn on G3. So
I
that
can believe if black had a rook,
rook.
there might be a draw,
Oh,
but
queen down.
he's a queen down. Let's not argue about that. So looks like Hawkins is going to win this game, unless somebody can see something.
Right, couple more moves.
Well, let me liquidate some pawns. Okay, come on. G4.
G4.
Defender should get all the pawns off.
A3. A3, knight B5.
A3, I might take that.
King D3.
I'll take that. You could lose.
Yeah, King D3.
King D3, the man says. I'm going to take it.
Take.
Take it. King F4. You will.
This is getting
Actually,
messy.
maybe I should just take it now.
Really?
Why not? Why not, sir?
Well, it loses pieces.
Yeah, I know. I can see that. I can see it loses a piece. Yeah.
So knight A4, King F4,
Here we go.
and then knight B2, I suppose, King F5.
Yes.
He's got King F6 and King G7.
I
He's
might
also
have.
threatening King G5, and where should
I think I'm threatening something like that.
Yeah, but where should my knight now be?
I've got my king shouldering your king away.
Okay, knight C4.
All right, what's he doing there? Where do you want to put your knight? I don't get it. Push. Keep your knight at bay.
Leave it.
That's where it belongs in this position.
Is it by the queen's gone over?
Are you going to win this?
If I get my knight to G5, but that doesn't look like easy.
Well, you can try. I'm just going here and here. I'm quick.
So knight D6 check.
Six check, okay. How does that help?
Knight E4 check.
In.
Knight G5. And then
Out.
King at 6. Yeah. So you know, the white king, yeah, maybe can play a big role.
I don't think it's that easy. I think
I'm just
he's-
one move away. You know, maybe I should find.
I think
Well, he's got to get some pawns off the board. That's the key, isn't it? To this endgame.
the black has played it rather loosely.
Well, all right. Say G4. Okay, come on. You have-
G4 actually played in the game.
yeah, he's got to get the pawns off.
Knight used to be more useful.
I think it's the problem with this endgame is that white can play knight takes A4.
Okay.
Yes,
Just knight takes A4, and then black goes for the pawn.
it's black's move.
Oh,
So should I take the pawn on G4?
Okay, you take it. Then you've
And
got to
then-
go
and then
H6,
play
right?
H6,
All
yeah.
right, you've got to go something like this. Okay, you should do that. Then let's. Now we have to start employing prayer as a weapon. Check a knight F4 looks. This you've got to do this, haven't you? Okay, H5.
G5.
Yeah, this looks more like it. Now then,
We're really going to play
right, I'll play King F5.
So where is this? Are you playing something like knight?
Well,
A-
your king's on a funny square right now.
Right, King D3.
King D3, yes, okay, right.
Can't you play A3 now because the king can't take the A6 pawn without allowing the G pawn to run off?
No, he's not going to do that. He'll play knight D5 and say, why not A3?
A3 might be quite a good move now. Once you've got a supported passed pawn on the king side, it's impossible for me to do anything.
Well, knight D5. If he plays A3, knight D5.
This looks lost,
King
unfortunately.
D3 is
I can't play H5.
Okay. Instead of taking on G4, can I just put my king back on E5? You know.
Yeah, but this is the right way to play it, isn't it?
Yeah, I know this is also, but the other way is also equally okay. When I just pull my king back,
How? Sorry?
I pull my king back to E5.
Here, you mean?
Yeah,
That's the other way.
yeah, that's the other way. You know, I mean,
What, and takes? King takes?
yeah, well, or even pawn takes is okay.
That's it.
Yeah, what you mustn't do then is to allow the white king any sort of invasion possibilities on the king side. So, okay, the defender should exchange pawns. That's the maxim. So let's exchange pawns.
Yeah. Now king F5.
You don't want to create a passed pawn.
No, king F5, and I want to keep that structure. So now your
All right.
king has to be tied down to g3 now.
I can't move anything. This is an issue. So let me, and if I go here, you'll probably play a g5, won't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, play g5. So king g3 h6, king f3, king e5. I've created the same position. And
My knight's tied down.
so what's the
Ridiculous. It's hopelessly tied down.
But this could be a way
looks-
to play this endgame, isn't it? What does the engine thinks?
We could outdo the engine here. No, that looks nasty. All right, so g4. He's probably going to take this and go h6, or he's probably going to play king e5, and I probably prefer that. What he should not do is go into the other endgame where how was I able to do that? Taking on g4, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then going in with a king. You should
Yeah.
not allow the white king in.
Yeah.
So g4, is that the position? That's the position. Move 41, and probably a bit of a think coming up. Right, so Arkle-Pert's finished, hasn't it? Therefore, we can get rid of it. I don't want to save it either. It wasn't worth saving. Fleer how? Okay, so Glenn Fleer was suffering. So there must be some time shortage here. Queen d7 was the last move.
Queen into d7.
Yeah.
Knight into d7.
Yes.
Knight c3.
Yes.
And then now rook fb8. Quite.
Nasty is the word
Yeah.
you're looking for.
Yeah, rook fb8, and now.
Hang on, what did he play? Knight c3, yeah. Rook fb8.
Yeah, rook fb8, and now time's on the clock. 7 minutes for Howard.
That is it.
Yeah,
Wow.
and 11 minutes for.
Black's piling on the pressure. Let's see it from Black's side. It must be infinitely preferable to look
So
at it from this
what's
side of
what's
the
wrong
board.
with bishop a1? Are you going to chop off
Everything. Bishop a1. Oh my goodness.
Played in the game. Bishop a1 played in the game.
Well, probably didn't have any choice, did he? But it's not a move that's very desirable. Okay, what shall I take? This is the question. I can take...
maybe take nothing and just play the knight on d7 to f6.
Well, I like to take things. Especially when they're the opponent's pieces. Let's take it, come on.
And then rook c3. Or,
Little c3, let's take it.
yeah, okay, this is definitely possible. What I'm suggesting is that he could play knight d to f6, and that could leave him with a powerful knight instead of the knight on d7. Just play knight d f6.
Okay, Howe's down to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
And Fleer's got 11 minutes.
Yeah. So what's wrong with knight d to f6?
Oh, nothing. You're piling on the pressure, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's not a way of playing.
I suppose knight b6 is also a move, but you don't want me to... Yeah, this is another way of playing it. Quite right. Nothing's wrong with it. It's a good suggestion.
Yeah. Right.
Give him a knight of it.
And super anti-knight
Sorry?
Super anti-knight
Set them up for the next game.
Going for the six
That's-
F4, don't they?
Yeah. Going for the left toenail. Well, that move keeps a bit of pressure on. I don't know.
So
I don't like his position at all. What about knight d5 maybe? God.
can we have knight e1 as a
Are you sure you want to suggest that move?
Yeah.
Eh?
Knight E1.
Yeah. Steinitz lives again. Steinitz rules. Okay, let's take something off. Come on, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing these pieces on the back row. Come on. Black's going to win something here. I guarantee it.
No. Why do you need to take the knight on
What's
e1?
wrong with this?
But the idea
I'm liquidated to a completely one endgame.
Yeah, but you don't need to do that.
Yeah, but this is
You
a
can-
fatuous suggestion, isn't it?
Yeah, you can make him
Because
suffer.
White's not going to do that, is he?
Hang on a minute. You can make him suffer a bit more. He's
White's
tried-
doing quite well making himself suffer with some of his last few moves. Knight b1 and then knight e1. I like your move, Ravi. I like your move. Now, what did he play?
Sorry, he didn't play that move. Sorry.
He didn't
played,
play. He played the simple move. Knight takes knight,
He
didn't
played bishop into a3.
he? Wait a minute. The last move was bishop a1, was it? Rook fb8.
Yeah, he played
Promote
bishop
variation.
a1.
Bishop a1. Yep.
bishop a3,
Yes.
rook c2,
Yes.
knight into c3,
Yeah.
and if you play bishop c3, you're probably going to get the knight to d5 anyway. And if you play rook c3, he might just pull the bishop back to d6.
Yeah, he's going to go back to d6. It's absolute hell on earth for white this endgame. It's got to be lost, hasn't it?
Yeah. Back to Simon Williams.
Well, any more moves here?
No.
That's it. This is a lost position.
Yeah.
Although black has not got a passed pawn, so
Yeah.
there might be some hope.
Yeah, but I thought this was too early to exchange knights.
Come on, what's wrong with this? This is absolute agony for. You want to win the game several times. Don't you want to make him suffer and win the game. This is at least a merciful way out. It's just winning cleanly.
Exactly whatever we predicted happened in the Simon Williams game.
Right, let's see it.
He took on g4.
Yeah.
King into g4.
Yeah.
h6.
Yeah.
King f3.
Yes.
And now, okay,
What's wrong with a3?
a3.
Oh, knight b5 check. Aha.
So you
That
have
is
to-
a trick.
So when you play king d3,
Yes.
I play knight into a4.
Yes.
Knight into a4.
Yes.
King f4. Oh, you got king d4 back. Sorry.
He's losing very quickly. That's
Yeah.
what he's doing.
No. So king f3, king d3. What's the solution? Should he play something like knight e4?
King
now?
f4 maybe?
a3 now.
Well, I've got to take that and play king e5, haven't I?
Yeah.
King C2.
I mean, this is. It,
Yeah,
I don't. That doesn't look so easy.
King C2 might be the thing.
No, then I take on a4 and go king e5, don't I? In this position, right? You go in here, I take this off.
Yeah, you can't stop him.
I don't think it's that easy, is it? Although actually, after king f6, g5 takes. Yeah, that's looking drawish. That's the problem for black. Your king can't go too far away.
Yeah. So he needs a good move here.
So the king is on f3.
yeah,
That's
so
the
he-
position.
Yeah. So what does he need to do now? He can't go king d3.
He might regret pushing that pawn to a4.
Well, I didn't know that.
I don't know why Chessbase has blanked out the screen there, but you know.
I have a different approach. King c4. Right, sorry,
What's
Sorry,
that?
king c4 now. Andy, king c4. You don't
King
have.
c4.
Yeah,
All
you-
right, king e4.
You're going e4, and now a3. You
Then
just-
I take it. Same. This is exactly
king
the same.
c3, king e5.
Don't see the difference.
Knight d7 check.
Yeah, that's probably a good move. Must hit the knight.
King E2.
Knight f8 check.
Ah, g5. No, g5's not winning yet.
No, knight f8 check.
Knight f8 check. Ah, ha ha ha. That is good.
King
That is good. King here.
King f6, now king b3. We have a winner now.
So what are you saying?
g5.
I'll take it.
Take on g5.
That's a shame. Okay.
So you know he's got to calculate this, isn't it? He got to.
Just like we did.
Oh, we stumbled into that into that knight f8.
So let's have a look. So you say king c4.
Yep.
Right. So
You
then,
got to go something like knight e2, threatening knight f4.
well,
Well, knight e2 is knight d5. That's another horrible.
so let's check this variation one more time. So if I go here, you go here, and if I go here, you go here,
Mm.
and if I go here, you
Knight,
come back
yeah.
with this amazing
Yeah.
move. That's a nice idea. Very nice. So the knight must defend from f8 in
Yeah.
this structure.
That's the only thing to do.
That's the only way he can win this. Amazing. All right, so we know what he's got to do then, black. So that makes life easier.
No. King c4, knight e2 was a suggestion.
Knight e2, okay.
Yeah, and then now the horrible knight d5 will come and dominate.
Right, knight here. So what are you doing? You're planning to go knight here.
Yeah.
Right, here we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, if I've got to go onto the defensive here,
King E4.
I can keep defending.
Oh,
Can we play king e4?
I could play king e4, but let's try and defend this first of all.
Takes
Your
it
move,
back.
always a problem. You got to play king here, haven't you? Oh, but then I go check again.
Knight d5, knight c1. Sorry.
Yep.
Knight f6 now.
Okay, now here.
This is good with king d4.
King d4, knight e2 check, king d3.
Yeah, I might be getting zugzwanged here.
Knight
I've got to
c3,
go there now.
a3.
Then a3. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is probably gone. Huh?
Yeah.
You get to f8 again, don't you?
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Once that knight hits f8, that's the end.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Right.
Okay, so that seems to be the key to this endgame then, getting the knight to f8.
Okay, in we have a couple more moves in.
Very interesting.
We have a couple more moves after rook c2, knight c3. He took
Hang
with
on,
the-
knight c3, yep,
He took with the bishop.
yep,
Knight f6,
yep.
threatening something, and now knight g5. He might hit the pawn on, you know,
E6.
That's his only
E6.
chance. His only chance. Yep, keep going. That's it.
e6. And now I think a move like rook a6 or rook b6 is more of the cards. Rook b6, in fact.
Knight b6.
I slightly prefer rook a6, but maybe rook b6. Rook b6, yeah. Well, Glenn's taking his only course of action. He's trying to find counterplay, and the e6 pawn is the only weak point in Black's camp.
Rook e1.
I think that, you know, one of the things that I feel that in that position, taking the a3 pawn wasn't, you know, he should have got knight d to f6, and then he could have got the knight to d5.
Well, I'll give the pawn. I can give it. I can go knight d5 anyway. Just play bishop here. I mean, that's still much better for Black, isn't it?
Yeah, but
And just keep control like that.
Well, you're not even a pawn up. Right?
I'm not a pawn up, but look at my pieces. They're absolutely killing you,
Rook b3. Oh, okay.
amongst other things. I mean, it's an indisputable advantage for Black. It's just a question of how much. What does the engine think? It just thinks defend.
Yep.
Rook b6, rook a6, keep the game going. He will play one of those moves. Probably rook b6, so as not to get
How
pinned.
much time has he got? He's down to 2 minutes 40 seconds. You know,
Well-
that you know, in this kind of situation, you know, if you are down with 2 minutes, you know, and that's where, you know, it's very difficult.
But David's first objective is to get into time trouble. So he succeeded. The fact he might not win the game is irrelevant.
Well, he can just defend this pawn, can't he? He can just defend it. Till kingdom come, actually. And then play knight d5 when the rooks are hammering away. The bishop's got to retreat, then I can move my bishop back. He's not going to win that pawn. So that looks
Can we go back to Hebden? We got.
marginally better than it was for Glenn, but it's still horrible.
Can we go back to Hebden? Quite a few moves there.
Yeah, rook d5,
Move number
38.
38. Rook c7.
Yep.
Rook e3.
Ooh,
Rook into e3.
well, I take it and go a4, don't I?
F into e3, and now a4.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
And this is, you know,
It's getting worse. He's going to get a passed pawn by force.
yeah.
That is the key.
Is the
And-
baby up?
Hang on a minute. Can he play a3 now? That's even horrible, isn't it?
A3, that looks like a very quick loss.
No, no. If white plays king g3, can black play? It's black threatening a3.
Black is almost certainly threatening a3, yeah.
So if I
What do you
take
wanna
on
play?
if I want to take the pawn, that's the best.
Take the pawn, okay, push. Let's go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. And
Rook
then
rook d1.
rook d1,
Rook d1, I think I can just...
rook a7.
No, just hit the pawn. That's it. Finish.
Rook d4.
Maybe it's not the finish. Let's go back and start again.
C3 would have been better.
Let's go back and start again. Yeah, let's push this pawn. Come on, this is... Of course
Yeah.
you're right.
Rook
Give the man a book.
Okay, a5.
What are you trying to do here?
Rook b1.
Rook takes. Oh, you've got to check, haven't you? King h7.
Well, I can of course take.
So you know, I mean, a4. He's played king g3. He's even allowed that king g3.
Ooh, so can he play a3 now?
Yeah, a3 is
Pretty nasty.
a3 king f3.
Right, now is it time?
Pawn at c4, rook to c4. Can I just go rook d2 now? You don't want to win this one. If you want to win this one, you need to take on b3 and then create your pass pawn.
Not going to win this one. How do you mean?
Rook d2, or you?
Well, what I mean, I'm not going to win it. I am going to win it.
So Hebden now played king f8, kept the position intact.
I'm going to win this, by the way.
Yep.
Just for your information.
So king
I'm going to
f8.
string it out as well. In return for all those cheapos you pulled earlier this afternoon.
So he's played king f8 now, and
All right, which position?
pawns on
A4.
a4. Yeah, he's played king f8.
King g3,
Yeah, king f8.
king f8.
And if you take the pawn, king e7 and king e6 and king d6, and you know that's going to be quite decisive. And that's move 41. So that means you know extra time come into play, and you know this is going to be a very long play, possibly going into night, or you know going into the wee hours if they.
Next few minutes with me.
Right, back to Fleer How, because that's the one that's going to
Yeah.
give us some excitement. So knight g5.
Knight d5. He's played
26.
knight d5.
There you go, he just plays for control.
No, he's played rook b6.
What do you want about then? He played knight d5.
No, knight d5, rook b6.
Okay,
Rook e1, attacking that. And
Yeah.
now he's played knight d5.
yeah.
And knight e6 could be rook c6 and something like that.
Knight e6, I just pin you.
Yeah, rook e8.
Rook
so,
e8,
you know,
game over.
it's quite decisive now, isn't it?
So if he goes rook e6, we
Rook
go
e6.
rook takes rook and rook e8. That's quite nasty.
No, rook e6.
Yeah, that wins the house.
How?
Because you can't stop mating or losing pieces, can you? Let's just see it.
And then rook e8.
That wins, doesn't it? So somebody's suggesting knight takes e6.
Rook. What's the problem with rook e8? What's he doing?
Yeah, just moving the knight is not easy, is it? No, don't just knight takes c3 and rook down the back. How do you mean?
Rook e8.
Well, yeah, I just take this, don't I?
And then bishop b4.
Ah. Now you're putting it down.
Yes, that's gone, isn't it? Well, okay. So if he cannot take on e6, then it ain't nice, is it? So what happened? Is that it?
That's it. A couple more moves in Simon Williams, which we were.
Yep.
And now he's, I think he hasn't seen that knight d7. He's allowed king d3, king f4.
Hang on. What move number are we on?
Well, this is the position. He played king d3.
Black played king d3.
King f3, king d3. He just went for the slide.
King f3, king d3.
Yeah, king f4 has been played now.
King f4. Okay.
Yeah, and now
right.
a3 is the move.
Wait a minute. Did he play a3?
Yeah, he hasn't played a3, but this is the most common move, isn't it? So the point now I'm making is for king.
No, but that wins for black because he can get his king to f8, can't he?
Yeah.
A knight to f8. a3, we just take it, don't we?
Yeah, a3.
His king's here, isn't it?
Yeah,
a3, we just take
king,
it, don't
No, king e5.
we? Sorry, you can't play king e5, can you?
You can.
You've got to take the pawns.
Well, king e5, and then you take. I play knight b1. How do you force me?
Well, that must be completely hopeless, yeah? Knight c4 and king c2. End of game.
Yeah.
So takes.
So a3 taken.
Takes
You
here,
know,
but
he
then I
takes
just go in,
c3,
don't I? That's
yeah.
it. That's it.
King e5.
You
is
can't do anything.
expected.
That's the blockade.
Is there any other move like a4 now? King e5 he played. Knight d7 check.
King f4.
I think he's looking at king d6 now, isn't he?
That was the game, right? This is the game, isn't it?
Yeah,
A3
takes, and now he's played king e6.
King takes. King E5.
Yeah.
Knight D7 check. This is the
king
game.
e6. He's gone king e6.
Okay, then Knight F8 check.
Knight f8.
End of the game.
King
That's it.
d6 now.
What?
Can't I go king d6 now for knight f8 check?
King D6. I just come and take your pawn off. I've got to just do that.
Yeah.
Just come and take everything.
Yeah. Knight f8 check.
Once the knight gets to F8, that's the end. So the game
no,
position.
No. The knight f8, king f7.
Yeah, but I let you take the knight, don't I?
No, he wants to play king. Oh, he can't play king g7. Sorry.
Let's go G5 now.
So it's going to be a good win for Jonathan, isn't it? Now, king e6. He's just thinking, well, knight f8 check, king.
This is the position of the game.
Yeah.
So knight F8 check. What does he do? He can't do it.
King f7,
King F7. King here.
king g7,
G5.
g5.
That's it.
What are you doing after king F7?
What are we doing? We're winning.
G5 anyway. Why did you wait a minute?
Anyway, so that
So king e6. He played king b3.
King E6.
He played king b3, saying you can't touch my knight. And now he's gone king f7. And I
Yeah.
guess after knight f8, it's going to be all curtains.
No, we can play G5.
Huh?
G5.
Oh, g5.
Very simple.
Yeah, he's played king f7 now. So what about g5, h5? g4, king.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're a bit slower.
And you've got
You're going to get mated.
I can't even do that because there's a cheap or knight f8 at the right hand. Even
You
if I-
will be mated. Now what? Very
It's
interesting
going to be
game.
a good win for Hawkins, so that will propel him into the leaderboard as well.
Can you
Going-
make the ball clear? So,
King f7 is played and Hawkins is thinking.
King E6. King B3.
Yeah.
King F7. That is the
Yeah.
game position.
Yeah.
Why didn't you just make it free?
Okay, so he's thinking. What's he thinking about?
Okay.
He's worried about
Knight F8 wins as well, doesn't it?
both of them.
He's played g5.
G5. That's resigns, yeah.
Maybe he's tossing a coin, which one will win the game.
g5.
Yeah, that's it.
It's terminal, isn't it? That endgame. Very well played.
He made it
That's
look
a
easy,
really good
actually.
game.
He
Huh?
made
That was a good game.
he made it look easy.
Made it look. So back to Flair, if we can just run up there.
Has he resigned?
No, it will be eventually, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Back to Fleer, yep.
Flair, he played knight d5, played bishop d2,
What? Right, so rook e8, knight d5,
bishop d2,
bishop d2.
and then now Howell played rook e8, holding that pawn. This is not.
Nice,
Not
is the
looking
word you're
nice.
looking for.
Yeah.
So this is a pawn down, a long, hard grind, and at the end of it, you probably lose.
Yeah. Okay,
Which-
back.
H6 is the next move,
Can we go back to heaven?
followed
then?
by systematic improvement of black's position.
Yeah. So king g3, king f8,
Hang on. King g3, king f8, yep.
king f3,
Yep.
c4,
Okay, take it.
b takes c4, rook takes c4.
Yep.
And what's happening here? I mean, rook a5, you're going to play a3, are you?
Well, he's threatening stuff like rook c2.
So rook a5.
Then rook take rook a5 now.
Yeah. That is the
A3.
A3. And then now
Would be,
king e2.
Well, actually, I could also play b3.
of course, that was going to be a
b3 take rook b5.
Yeah, but then the white king may come, so you have to play a3.
Oh, it's easy.
So a3, all right.
Yeah, a3. Now rook a4.
Rook a7, yeah.
Rook a7, yeah.
Oh,
Now rook c2.
No, rook c2.
Yeah.
Well, then we come to this endgame, don't we?
Yeah.
Rook, sorry, rook.
Rook b7, rook b2. There's b3 cheap.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Okay, is that completely lost?
B3 doesn't.
B3's got to take it. Why does it win?
A2, very good also.
Yeah, but
Okay, let's have a cool look at this. Rook a5.
Rook a5, a3. That's what he played, and then I played rook a4. That's kind of. I have b3 cheaper then. Yeah, a5, a3, and then you played rook a7. I can play rook c2, rook b7, and then rook takes a2, rook takes b4, rook
So
a1.
in this position,
I want to take
this
on
position,
it. Yeah,
take this.
Yeah.
You take this.
And then rook a1.
Rook a1.
One, and now you got to go rook a4.
Right. So I have to go here and then
Yeah, and
here
now
and
king-
then here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the king marches. No, I don't push a2. Now I march my king to support my pawn. That could be quite decisive. Your king has only one good square to
My
stay
king
on
is
e4.
my king is in the wrong place.
See, what happens if I put my king on e4? King a4, just king d6, isn't it?
Yep. You can't come any further with your king. The king's going to come up here, isn't it?
Yeah. King d4.
King d4.
Yeah.
Right. Is it time?
a2, king e4.
King e4.
f5 check.
That's it. That's the end.
Nice one.
That is the end.
So the king can't hide on e4. So if the king has to hide on h2,
H2 and it's usually what
it's
loses.
usually worse.
You need
Right.
kings.
Well, but I mean, you just got to take one glance at this position. It looks as though black's winning, doesn't it?
So
It's not as if white's pawns on the king side are
Yeah.
that great.
So Hawkins won that game.
Yeah, Hawkins wins. Congratulations. Good
Yeah,
game.
Good game. Joins the leaderboard and in with a chance. He will be definitely white, having played 2 black. Going into the last round, he was last year's. There were 2 people with that. I don't know whether we need to get Stuart Rubin to confirm. Will it be a playoff or is it going to be a shared title?
God, it's been a playoff for more than 100 years.
So what happened last year?
Last year was because of the Tromso.
So it's going to be a playoff.
Yes. Yes. And you're right.
We've confirmed there's going to be a playoff.
So playoff possible. So Hawkins might try to get that.
Did you ask
Right, I think it's time actually to round this up because
did you ask the question?
these end games are.
Andrew?
This one is clear cut.
Did you ask
I haven't. I'll ask that one tomorrow. I'll ask the
Oh,
question
okay.
tomorrow. Right, so Fleer how? Okay, so basically, black is going to make white suffer. There's no other way to describe it. He's going to push the knight back and just play bishop d6,
Yeah,
king
yeah,
f7,
Yeah. We
and
have
then
a couple more moves. He
Okay.
played g3,
yeah,
h6, put
Yeah.
the knight back out of misery.
yeah,
Knight f3,
yeah.
bd6, control
Here
that
we go.
knight.
Yeah,
Create a unit of c7 being protected by everything. And then h4, king f7,
yeah.
which releases the rook on e8. King g2, waiting for executioner to come to him. And then rook a8. This is going to be a long grind.
And then white will lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll spare Glenn Fleer any more misery by.
I'm thinking there's going to be this rook is going to appear on t3 and then pause.
I would have thought this pawn is going to be quite weak as the game progresses.
Yeah.
Anyway, it looks like David Howe's going to win, but
Yeah,
it's
one
going
more
to take a
move is that-
long time. Yeah,
Rook ec1 doubling,
yeah.
and now king f6.
Okay, so
This is just
get into the time control.
yeah. Rook c4.
Is this the game?
Yeah.
Oh,
Rook
still they're still
c4.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Space invert is coming down.
Rook a2.
Rook a2.
Yeah.
So he's going to put the bishop on I don't know where, e1.
It's the I wouldn't play bishop e1 in this precise position. That might drop something.
I can't put it on any other square.
Well, I think he's got to acquiesce to some exchange here.
Yeah, and then rook a3.
Why don't you want to exchange? Keep your task simple.
No. I want rook a3. I want to get the other rook to b3, make that knight move away from there, and then I'll.
Rook d3.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
So rook 1 to c2 played.
rook 1 to c2 played. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now it's I think possibly rook a3. Putting pressure on that knight, and
I don't understand why you don't want to take the rook off. But maybe it's just me. That's a different style of play. Isn't it?
Well, rook. You can also play rook queen 2.
Yeah, you could play rook b2.
Yeah, it's
Right, so I'm going to summarise what happened. The games on the top boards were fairly tedious, 2 draws. Fleer Howe was a much more meaty struggle, still going, but White looks as though he's losing. But knowing Glenn, he'll put up a really tough defence. I don't envy him. Hawkins Williams, a good game by Hawkins. The night ending was very nicely played. And we had to go to Ems Hebden, which has met our standards of exciting and high quality play. And we've come down to a rook endgame, which, well, almost certainly must be winning for black. I mean, it has to be. And one way was the way we showed. I mean, I don't know, is this 100% win? It probably is. Because White would possibly be able to hold this if his pawn was on f2, his pawn was on g3, and his king was on g2. Possibly. But because then he can just avoid these tricks of a2 and then the rook. The king, the white king, it can't move anywhere. And that means that the black king can come up and hopefully reach a2 down here. So that might be lost. It'll take some time. So with that, we move forward to the last round tomorrow, which we're looking forward to. Anything could happen. Join us at 3. Thank you, everybody here. We wish you a good evening.